Good evening, everyone. I'm calling. Good evening, everyone. So this meeting will order at 7:09.
There we go.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Can I roll call, please, Ms. Bell?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. We got Tracy. Trustee Announcements.
Here.
Trustee Serramonte. Here. Trustee Barrett. Trustee Lee.
Here.
Trustee Nada. Here. Would you like me to call the roll for the superintendent? Yes, please. Ms. Hart.
Here.
Question Trustee Barrett. Trustee Lee.
Here.
Trustee Murphy. Trustee Feinfeld.
Here.
Trustee Abuzalia.
Here.
Trustee Green. Trustee Garcia. Thank you. Item number 7, approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes?
Yes, there is one change. We're going to amend the agenda by pulling 1482 to discuss at a later date. I don't have an board meeting protocol.
Okay.
So we're just going to pull it to discuss at a later date.
We also move 15B up to the top of the action items. 15B is the, 15B2, excuse me, and 15B1, I would, to have B2 first and then go B1, so just flip those two.
First,
Yeah, and then, yes.
Right.
Move to approve agenda with those amendments.
Mr. Ochapinti has his hand up.
Mr. Pinty.
Yes, thank you. There is one item here that the link does not work. I'm not sure if the public has been able to access it. It is item 12B31. Just ask that we either put it on a future agenda, put it from consent, at the very least for discussion, but I would actually motion to postpone it to a further meeting so that we can have input. Thank you.
So can we do those as two separate motions then? Can we, yeah, so that we could, can we maybe, address the next motion, address.
Okay, so let's approve the agenda with the other, moving things around and tabling the item on the board protocol. So we can pull 14 to discuss later. Yeah.
And then moving 15B1 and B2 up earlier in action, correct?
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So now we are discussing.
Sorry, I didn't. Are we able to vote?
So are we hearing the motion I made now? to remove 12B31. I can't hear clearly.
What was your motion?
Go ahead and restate your motion.
Yeah, what was your motion,
Okay.
Mr. Smith?
Your motion to pull item 12B31 from consent to discuss at the future meeting when we can have the information posted.
I was able to access,
So was I.
so I'm okay with moving forward with it as is.
I was able to, I just pulled it up just now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was able to
no,
pull it-
I was able to pull it up with Adobe on a laptop, but online it's not accessible. The file doesn't pull up for the public.
I was able to access it online.
I pulled it right off of the public agenda just now.
I did too, Mr. Chapinti.
So I'm okay moving forward.
So you made a motion to pull it, and I'm gonna call for a second. Hearing no second, the motion failed. We were able to pull it up, that's all.
I'm gonna make a second motion to pull it for discussion, pull it from consent, just put it in the discussion part of our meeting.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. All right, item 8, approval of minutes.
To approve.
Second,
I have a comment. Just before, I have additional amendments to, potential amendments to some of the minutes, so I can submit those later. But I haven't had a chance for our other minutes to review those yet, so I will bring that up.
We'll bring those back and we can vote to amend. So,
The motion and a second.
there's a motion and a second. However, I did notify Ms. Bell that there were 2 changes that I had, and that was just very simple ones. May 4th, put the full name of the student of the month from Thornton, and also just that any meeting where we adjourned in memory of someone, that we put that in the minutes. Okay. So we have, again,
so I approve with those amendments.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 9, there's nothing to report out of closed session. And now on to recognitions and commendations. Our May 2021 Student of the Month from Adult Transition. Ms. Vaccination?
Good evening, President Tafada, members of the board. I'm going to introduce Mr. Mark Shears, Principal for Adult Transition, and he will take it from here.
Good evening, folks. The Jefferson Union High School, first of all, greetings to all the board members and to Superintendent Presto. The Jefferson Union High School District Student of the Month program recognizes the outstanding achievements of our students at school and in the community. The Student of the Month is selected by teachers and administrators for exemplifying an outstanding degree of academic achievement, leadership, and community consciousness. Each year, only 6 students receive this honor out of the 4,300 students in our district. Tonight, we recognize the 2020-2021 May Student of the Month Adult Transition student, Zachary Polizzi. We are also joined by Zach's parents, James and Lisa Henry.
Hello.
And by the way, Zach, and also, Jim, if I butchered your last name there, we went around and around today trying to make sure we could pronounce it correctly. So I hope I was in the ballpark anyway.
Yes, you were. Thank you very much.
We had a wonderful write-up from your teacher, Mr. Alexandros Dreyer. Zach, I'd like to read this to you. Zach is a tremendous student with a strong work ethic who has overcome many challenges resulting from his disabilities. He's incredibly upbeat, even on days when he feels exhausted, which is exemplified by his readiness to persistently engage in classroom discussions. In terms of academic work, he has produced high-quality work that demonstrates understanding of advanced concepts related to areas of personal finance, job skills, independent living, and much more. Since his inception into my class, Zach became one of the default student leaders and has held a positive influence on peers stemmed by his demeanor and his actions. When I have provided Zach with constructive feedback, he's always welcomed these remarks and made self-improvements. Outside of class, Zach is a very active person who enjoys playing and watching sports. Some major personal and career goals that Zach possesses are living independently and working in an occupation related to animals. It has been an absolute pleasure to watch Zach grow in his development over the past 2 years. And I believe that his terrific ambition will lead him to become successful with future endeavors. We also had an opportunity to hear from his transition specialist, Ms. Emily Hansen. Zach has been a strong participant in work-based learning. Over the years, Zach has demonstrated focus, enthusiasm, and a positive attitude while on the job. Zach has worked at various sites, including Sprouts, Walgreens, and most recently, Petco. Zach loves animals, had 100% attendance at work, very impressive, Zach, and was always in uniform and ready to go. Zach also established independence and responsibility when taking Samtrans to work, as well as to Skyline College, where he took several classes through the concurrent enrollment program. Zach is currently exploring his options upon graduation from ATP. Zach has attended several meetings with community agencies that can work with him to continue to develop his vocational skills and independence. He is also exploring paid internships in the area. One thing is for certain, Zach wants to work with animals. Wherever Zach decides to go, he's going to be an asset and a gift to all who work with him. And I should also point out, by the way, for our Oceana folks, Zach is a graduate of Oceana as well. So please join me in congratulating our May Student of the Month, Zach Palese.
Awesome. Good job, Zach. Say thank you.
Thanks.
We're so proud of you.
That's awesome. Thank you. So great.
Would you like to say anything, or would your parents like to say anything?
Oh God. Yeah, no. This is great. Zach was so excited when he learned about this award, and so were we. So we're very proud of him, and yeah, we're just like you said, he loves animals. So whatever he does, I know he's going to be working with them. But no, thank you so much. He's had so many wonderful people work with him, and I think he's going to miss you guys. So. But thank you very much, huh, Zach? That's awesome. You want to say anything? No? Okay.
Just very proud of him. Very, very proud of him.
Thank you.
And thank you very much.
I'm very, very happy that we are now including the transition program in our Student of the Month. So thank you, everyone, for doing this. This is fantastic. It's a great way to start a school board meeting. And to Zachary and his family, I know you guys all must be so very proud of him. Great work, Zach, and also to the parents. I know that all the work and effort that you put into Zachary, and it absolutely shows. And so the award is for all of you. So thank you all so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Am I seeing you?
I'm going to stay for our board meeting, or if you guys want to go and have something sweet to eat.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you to all the teachers and everyone that showed up today. It's nice to see you, especially Emily. Hi.
Congratulations, Zach.
Thanks.
And yeah, just thinking about everything that the transition that this whole world is going through, a lot of those transitions, they come with a lot of work and a lot of energy and a lot of promise. Not everything is just what we've accomplished in the past. Is where we are now and the dreams we want to accomplish. So congratulations again. Looking forward to what you do next.
Say thank you. He appreciates it.
His smile is thank you.
I believe it. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to the Kim Award. The Wellness Square is the JUHSD Wellness Program.
So for 40 years, the San Mateo County School Board Association has annually recognized outstanding teachers and programs in San Mateo County through the J. Russell Kent Award Program. We are pleased to announce that the JUHSD Wellness Team was selected as a 2021 Kent Award recipient. The Wellness Team was recognized on Friday, May 7th at the virtual Kent Award event. We'd like to share a video that the Wellness Team prepared for the event. We are very proud and deeply grateful to the Wellness Team for their incredible support to students, staff, and families through the COVID-19 pandemic. Before we show the video, I would like to introduce Melissa Ambrose, who is our District Wellness Coordinator, and I think she wants to say a couple words and introduce her team.
My wife is lurking in the background, so that's who the other person is. You can come back, babe. So we're just honored and delighted to get this award. And I just want to say that the wellness team has been spectacular. I'm going to get all weepy. The biggest hearts and so much effort and so much care and so much tenderness towards students, towards family, towards staff, and towards each other. It is a powerful group of humans to work with, and we call ourselves the Wellness Warriors. And it's just an honor and a delight to be able to work with such a group of dedicated individuals. And I'll just be really clear, like, this award goes to them. I sit up in the district office and just like write a lot of emails. And they're just incredible people. So not everybody could be here tonight, but I did want to note that Carla Telkoff is here from Thornton. And then we have Yvette Yambao and Carla Steele, who both work at Jefferson. And then Sarah English, who works at Westmore. And I think did I miss any of our crew for right now? Yeah, I'm looking on the screen. So just really such a special group of people and a really hard year, and they have done some extraordinary things. And I won't take up all your time to list all the extraordinariness, but they've gone above and beyond and been creative and had a lot of success at reaching students and families. And we've also had a lot of sorrow and grief that we've had to support each other and families and students through. So thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. And she's very humble because that's not true. She doesn't just sit up here and read emails at the district office. She's a leader. She's doing a fabulous job. So with that, I'm going to ask Jake to roll the video, please.
My name is Melissa Ambrose, and I'm the Jefferson Union High School District Wellness Coordinator. And I feel like a very lucky human being that I get to be part of a program that provides mental health services and support to students and families and to our staff members.
I love what I do because I get to work with students and families every single day to reach their potentials and remind them of their amazing resiliency.
I deeply care about the young people in our community, their future, and I'm really grateful to be an advocate for them and to support them in their mental health.
What's encouraging for me is the overwhelming amount of resilience in our young folks. It's a gift to bump into former students out in the community, and they're often eager to share how they've overcome their challenges. All of this is why I love what I do and why mental health matters.
Something that I really love about the work is getting to work with so many students and families and getting to help connect students and families with services.
I love my job because the kids that we get are the students that didn't do very well in their comprehensive high schools, and they come to us thinking that they will never get a high school diploma, and they bloom when they're with us.
I love my job for so many reasons, but first and foremost are the students, and to see the growth that they have over the years and just in this time, I wouldn't change it for the world.
And I love what I do because I love being there for students when they're at their most vulnerable and they really, really need someone. And I love to give them just support in any way I can in those moments.
I love working to create teams, to work with teachers and others to support our students.
One of the things that I love best about this work is the connection that I have with students. You know, getting to know them and being able to support them through their challenges, you know, just basically connecting and on a really basic human level.
Before we move on, for the board to make their comments, I just also wanted to thank Dana Lujan, our Director of HR, because one of her many talents we have learned is video editing and producing. So she helped the wellness team put that wellness video together. So thank you so much.
I'm going to open up to our board members to say Christine.
I just want to say thank you to all of you and congratulations on the award. Fantastic work. It's I know, especially in this past year, it's been incredibly challenging. I'm just so grateful to each and every one of you for being there for all of our students and to do the amazing work that you've done and the joy with which clearly you have for our students in our community. So thank you so much.
So I can just echo those comments. Thank you all for taking time to be here today. I know how busy all of you are, especially this past year. You know, it's an ongoing because it's hard to process the trauma when you're in the middle of the trauma, right? So I know that this is going to be an ongoing need and that we're going to be calling on you a lot. So I also want to say that, you know, as a board, I'm so thrilled to have you all here. I remember when I first started and we barely had just regular guidance counselors, let alone talk about wellness counselors. And so now to have that as part of our district and really focusing on our mental health as a district as a whole is hugely important to me. And I feel so blessed and honored to have you all here. And we want to be able to support you in every way possible. So please, with Melissa and working together, let us know how best we can support you so that you can support the rest of the district. So I thank you all for all of your work, and I'm looking forward to all the great things that we do together, especially with all the new supports that we have in place moving forward. So thank you all.
Mr. Jenke?
Yeah, thank you for that presentation. And of course, all the work that's gone into this year and years prior. Just really proud of where we are in terms of supporting wellness and promoting that, not just in our district, but through our district into the community. And I think just reflecting where a lot of the trends are in public policy, it's important to understand that, health is more than just a physical aspect, right? Healthcare, it's mental and physical. As somebody who, has seen a lot of, change and adversity and progress around mental health through, experiences with my family and community and friends. It means a lot to me to see this here through our district. Daly Youth Health Center has always been a pillar in developing that, but I think our entire district has a role in terms of playing a large role, and not just in our community here, but throughout the Bay Area and certainly within San Mateo County. And so understanding the healing and recovery that, our country and our state are going through as more than just something that's psychological or just physical, is something that's also socioeconomic. These also raise political questions. And so for all the adversity that, we understand our experience and as much as we celebrate our diversity, I think helping our students get through these things and helping our students helping us get through these things together through social emotional learning and wellness not only has a place, but it should have a central place in our education moving forward. And so just translating that into something that empowers our community in a transformative way means a lot to me. So thank you for your work. And of course, it's an investment. It's a gift that keeps on giving. So thank you and keep it up.
So I want to thank our wellness team as well. Melissa, you are a champion. And I just remember a few years ago, I asked you if you would serve on a panel in the greater San Mateo County, and Sequoia tried to steal you. So, and I know that you love our district, but I was not happy with that. But I think that, I know our Student Advisory Council for years, that was one of their biggest things, was to make sure we had more wellness counselors for our students. And I know that, our staff also had asked for that. And I personally want to thank you for helping my household, because we have used our wellness counselors there as well, and you've helped. And what I'm also impressed about is that you've reached out not just to the JUHSD families, just the students, but the families as well. I mean, the kind of outreach, the partnerships for like parent ed, and also your social media presence is really great. And I know that a few times, for instance, the Jefferson PTSA has posted and reposted what you've all posted to try to reach more people. And it's super important, because I know, I have friends who hadn't seen the first post, but then they saw it on the Jefferson Instagram, and they said how great it was. So I think the work that you're doing is just so vital, and I want to thank you for being so amazing. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling. I was actually getting teary-eyed during that video, and I've seen it before, but thank you so much for everything you do for us.
Student trustees, I don't know if you had any comments about counselors.
Yes. Do any of our student trustees want to make any comments? Mr. Abu Zaria.
Yeah, so just want to echo all the gratitude and appreciation, because Trustee Tejada said, or President Tejada mentioned, the Student Advisory Council, we talked a lot about mental health, and it's something that is, incredibly important to not just students on the council, but all students in our district. It comes up a lot in discussions at school, in student leadership, and, all different parts of the campus. And I think this year more than ever, the work or the mental health services were really greatly appreciated, just because of how needed they were. So just thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Herr, Trustee Herr?
I also wanted to echo everything else said. I thank you for everything you do. This year has been really chaotic, like everyone has said already, and I know a lot of students felt really supported by the counselors we do have. And even before this year, wellness counselors would be people students would go to at the end of the day just to have casual conversations, and it would help a lot. And yeah, I can't express how grateful I am for the wellness counselors.
Thank you. Would any of our wellness counselors like to say a few words?
No pressure.
No pressure. It was Kalima's idea.
Yeah, it's totally me. Just in case, since you're here and you have us all here, if you want to say things to us, but no pressure. Otherwise, please go have dinner.
I'm Marcella. I'll say something really quick. I'm a wellness counselor at Jeff High. And I just want to say thank you to the district, JUHSD, because it's so apparent just how important mental health is for not just the students, but the staff and everyone, and that it really does feel like a community, a family. And it's helped me in my own mental health journey this year. So it's been really such a gift to be a part of this community. So thank you.
Just a short and sweet. As the oldest living fossil at Thornton High School, I've been there 19 years. Best counselor ever. But thank you, Carla. Thank you for all the support that you always give to our school, and we all appreciate you. Thank you.
Back at you, Carla.
I was just gonna thank you to the board and our administration. I remember back in 2008, I filled out one of those cards to talk, and we were talking about budget cuts, and we had to cut Melissa's position. And at the time, there were only 5 of us, and now we're 10 strong. And I just want to really thank you guys for your support of mental health. You know, it's so nice to be in this district. Like, it's just yeah. Before it didn't feel that way. It was like we were islands, you know, we were on our islands. And it's so nice to be part of a team too. So just want to thank you for that.
I'll just add that I think it's President Tejada's birthday. Am I correct about that? Oh no, it's Trustee Carla Ng's birthday. Wrong board member. So I'm just throwing out happy birthdays. I'm not keeping my birthdays in order, but I wanted to say that on the behalf of
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are wonderful. Thank you.
Can we end the meeting now? We wish. So, I get to do the next one. It's to honor our JUHSD 2020-2021 trustees. And so, you know, this is their last official board meeting, although I think some of them probably just want to attend everything anyway. But I want to thank our student trustees, Madeline Herb from Oceana, who also is the Daly City Youth Poet Laureate for next year. Yay. From Terra Nova, Colleen Kleinfeld and Joe Murphy. They're both seniors, so they will not be back. But Colleen was also the chair, or the president of the Student Advisory Council, and she did such a great job. And from Westmore, we have Irene Lee and Mustafa Abusaria. And I believe both of them are coming back next year. Yay! And from Jefferson, Charles Green, who is coming back next year, and Luca Garcia, who's a senior. I believe we have certificates that we are mailing, yes. But I'll open it up to the board if they want to say a few words. So you know how I feel, but it's been such an honor working with you as your board trustee advisor on Student Advisory Council, and watching you grow and learning from you. And as I've said before, you helped me become a better parent since I have a student in the district, and you showed me a lot. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, but it's hard to want to let you know that we have one speaker. Very good. Should we hear that person now? All right. We have a comment. Andrew Humphrey. Andrew Humphrey. Mr. Humphrey. Andrew Humphrey. Hi, Mr. Humphrey. Just to remind you, you're considered allotted 3 minutes. I will not give you any warnings as to the remaining amount of time that you have. I'll just let you know when your time is up.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick congratulatory appreciation to the Student Advisory Board and just all the resilience throughout this year, and just embodying this this idea of education. And they really stepped up in a time when, you know, we were facing a lot of challenges and we were facing a lot of trauma in our community and in our schools. So I just wanted to make a quick statement of appreciation as a teacher in this community, and just acknowledge the work that, you know, that the students do, the youth do, to shape our community and influence discourse and, you know, spread this positive message throughout our community. And that's all I wanted to say. And I just, you know, as a teacher, I'm proud of our community. I'm proud of our students, and I'm proud of our youth. So congratulations to the new student advisory, and I'm very appreciative of all your leadership and your strength during this time. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Hasley.
So to the student trustees, thank you so much for your work this year. I know it's been an interesting year. It would have been wonderful to have been able to, for me personally, to have been able to meet some of you in the boardroom one-on-one had it been a different type of year. But your impact was felt nevertheless, right? You know, whether it was a board meeting, whether it was a board study session, whether it was crafting the equity statement and debating the importance of key words and phrases, your impact was felt. And so, to those of you who are graduating, congratulations on your future endeavors. And I know I know that this experience has probably been something that you will be able to carry with you and continue to further your leadership growth. And for those of you returning, I look forward to meeting you in face-to-face. And grateful that you are back to be able to continue to provide us with the necessary wisdom that we need to hear in our district. So thank you all for an incredible year of service.
I also want to just thank all of our student trustees and our student advisory committee members. I know, like, when we started this, one of my driving forces for doing this was at a CSBA conference. There was a speaker there that spoke about the difference between American and European schools, and I went to that with the, like, oh, you know, every time it never goes well for America. But one of the things that she really highlighted was that students are much more involved in the governance process in Europe, and she was surprised at the lack of student involvement in America. And even at the conference, she was surprised at how few students were at that conference, and that really struck a chord with me. And so I came back and really working with my board members saying, let's kind of embody that spirit and see what we can do to increase the voice of, the reason why we're all here. So it has been just an absolute honor to work with every single student trustee and every single student advisory member throughout the entire year. This is one of the hardest years of my life. So I can't imagine what it's like to go through high school during this time. And not just on budget board work studies, but also we had student advisory members and student trustees serving on almost every single committee and involving input. And again, teenagers agreeing to meet every other Monday. And if you're a student trustee, you're also doing this meeting on Tuesday. Well, at the same time, all the other stuff that, it's an insane amount of pressure that you put on high schoolers in this country to get through high school and try to get to college. And they took on the added responsibility. And their guidance really drove so many of my decisions through this period. And when it came to how we handled the COVID-19 crisis, really leaning into doing what was best for our students and ignoring all the political jockeying and everything that was happening outside of us to keep us focused on let's do best, let's be our best for our students. So I'm eternally grateful, and I hope that this experience has taught you that your voice is important and valid, and that you continue to lean in with your voice after you leave us. I'm hoping some of you come back because I don't want to be on school board forever. So coming back and run for my seat and run for other seats and continue to be involved and be a part of public service because you all have so much to give. So thank you.
Dr. Cindy?
Yeah, big shout out. Props and congratulations to everybody serving as student trustees in our student advisory council. And I do think of all of you in the capacity as a student trustee. It's because of the voice you bring, I think, to our district at this level. It's a rare opportunity. It should not be, but I think with the work we've done and with your input, it sounds like we're expanding the student advisory council, beyond its original scope, which is good. I do think too, with all the activities and all the energy that's at each of our campuses, and certainly last year and a half online, that their voices mean a lot, especially as youth right now and looking around the world. And I know I mentioned this just yesterday, but so you should be honored for that, for being a part of that change, especially in the community where this year has shown a lot of change around the world, and a lot of that has fallen on the shoulders and I think the capable minds and energy of our younger generations, and pushing that forward and seeing that here in action at the board level is one thing, but seeing it in the community, even when it's not popular or when it takes a little bit of bravery, it means a lot. Not only is it inspiring, I think, to all of us here, but obviously to your peers. That said too, just in the interest of wellness and everything we're talking about, your role here as leaders, as student leaders here, is to inspire others and to make people feel comfortable to be a part of that change at whatever level that is. And so just encouraging you to keep doing what you're doing. For those of you graduating, of course, feel free to be a part of everything that we're doing here, whether you're near or far. Of course, this community and these cities are always yours to help change. And so thank you for the inspiration and keep it up.
Thank you, President Tejada. I'm going to be brief because everything has been said, but I want to say that I think one of the highlights since I've taken on the responsibility of being your superintendent is attending the Student Advisory Committee meetings. I have learned a lot from the students. Another highlight is the trustees being at our board study sessions, because they have really made quite a difference in our outcomes and positively. I'm super impressed. I know that I did not have it in me to do what you guys are doing as high school students, and I'm thrilled that you do. So I'm honored to work with you, and thank you so much for your service.
So should we ask if they want to say something or go into the board report so that they can?
I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, would any of we're going to be going into the board report, so, but if any of our student trustees would like to say a few words about their service now. Myself.
Okay, wait, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first off, I'd like to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity to serve on, or I guess, to be a student trustee. It's been a wonderful learning opportunity, and I'd like to thank you all for all your time. It really makes me feel good and appreciated inside. So just thank you all. And yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? I don't want to put you on the spot here. So if Ms. Lee, Trustee Lee.
I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be on the spot as student trustee. It was an honor serving and being the voice for students at our school. I also learned a lot from this experience. So yeah, just thank you for the experience. It was really great.
So if there are no other student trustees who would like to speak at this time, Mr. Abdazaria.
Yeah, just to echo the gratitude as well. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to serve on the advisory as a student trustee. I also learned a lot, and even though sometimes the meetings were like 4 hours, it was still, it was still an educational experience, and just having like some discussions with my other peers, like in my student government class, for example, about about what happened at the board meeting, or like return to school. It was just really a nice opportunity, and thank you. Hopefully I'll be back next year, so maybe I'll see y'all in person. So
Yeah. Trustee Hurd.
I also wanted to thank you for this opportunity. I definitely learned to manage my time a lot better with homework and these meetings. And I really, really love seeing the process behind all the decisions the board makes, because this wasn't something I thought about before I had this position. And now I really saw how hard the district works, and it was really inspiring. And I love that I was able to give answers to people who asked about our district and future decisions. So thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to move into the board report. I'm going to call on our student trustees to kick us off. Trustee Kleinfeld.
Oh, for that part. Okay. All right. So basically, sorry, you caught me a little bit off guard. Basically, what has been happening is, school's wrapping up, and lots of people are getting ready, to go to summer. It's kind of a slog, we're at the finish line. And then I know this weekend, this Saturday, seniors have their mask and mingle. So it's like the replacement for prom. So there's going to be free tacos, free churros, and mini golf. And I'm really looking forward to that, because everybody likes free tacos. So that's the selling point for me. And starting to come to an end. So, last senior nights happening almost every single day, I think, for water polo, soccer, and track. At least for track, it's on tomorrow. So tomorrow's our meet. And yeah, I think that's all I have to report now. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Hurd.
At Oceana, the junior and senior ASB classes are now coming up with events to end the year. And we are also having an end of the year event that replaces prom. It's a movie night on the field for just juniors and seniors. And juniors are also now starting to prepare for Senior X, which we will start to research for this summer. And the last thing is many students are scrambling to prepare for the AP test on June 1st and June 2nd.
Thank you. Trustee Irene Lee.
Good afternoon. At Westmore, there hasn't been much happening except for senior checkout, which is tomorrow, and graduation, which is next week. Also, class of 22, 23, and 24 are hosting a fundraiser at Chipotle on the 22nd. So, yeah.
Hey. Do you have a flyer for that?
I believe it's on the Instagram, and I think they sent out the email to parents.
Okay. And Trustee Abadaya.
Good evening, everyone. Like Trustee Irene Lee said, there isn't much going on, but last week we did finish up our elections, our student body and class elections, and voting was on Thursday, and I believe results were posted on the Instagram, the Westmore ASB Instagram account on Friday, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but we have our officers for next year on. We did start that a little later compared to other schools, but we wanted to make sure everything was like ready, and we didn't want to rush anything. There's a pandemic still, so. And then in-person AP testing, I've finished as well, and so now it's for like students who are taking summer AP tests digitally from home. There's that. But other than that, there's not much going on, because school ends next week. And the final week schedule, Monday is synchronous for all students for first, third, and fifth. And then Thursday will also be synchronous for all students, second, fourth, and sixth periods. And Tuesday and Friday are supposed to be asynchronous. And I believe Wednesday is still office hours. I'm not entirely sure. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Ochapinti.
Yes, just as we're wrapping up the school year with finals and end of the year activities, just considering that, a year out, last year we weren't even sure, and it looked like we weren't going to have graduations, and some of it was like walk-ups and just other activities, but it's exciting to see where we are this year, and hopefully we'll do some more justice to some of the, I guess, really the milestones in our students and our families and communities' lives with some of these activities. So it's good to hear from the student trustees and whatever events that we can have moving into the summer. That said, just noticing in the news in terms of education, that with everything the federal government is doing to recover and get through it as soon as possible, it's been really reassuring to see that we're making progress, not just with vaccinations, of course, but with funds, with resources that are badly needed in our communities at the federal and state level. Given that our state has a $49 billion surplus, which is unexpected. Just looking at how that's going to impact our schools, and I believe in a positive way, given that most of our funding comes from the state, it's reassuring to see that Governor Newsom is moving forward with things like transitional kindergarten and even benefiting higher education, things that, of course, like many things in our state are long overdue, but with the entire, recovery plan at the federal level, seeing that matched in California, specifically with some of the proposals so far is really promising. So I'm looking forward to what that, bears out in the May budget revise that we should be seeing pretty soon. Aside from that, as a teacher just wrapping up the school year, it made me think about a lot of things, and in the context of our last few meetings, just to respond briefly to some of the public comments, because they deserve a response. There were some questions and some comments about, I guess, a comment I made at a city council meeting on April 12th regarding the Serramonte project, which we'll discuss later on in this meeting. And I can speak to it a little bit further in terms of, I think, the reasoning and different perspectives around it. But I was actually shocked and a little disappointed to hear some of the comments. Not that that matters. I do think that public comment is absolutely necessary, and it's not about respectability. I love to hear the public, speak on any issue, and so I welcome that, whether people agree or disagree with me. Absolutely, because we need that discussion around these issues. But the city council meeting that people were referring to, there were several issues on the table at that meeting, and so I actually didn't arrive at that meeting with the intention of speaking primarily on Serramonte. In fact, I was actually shocked and a little disappointed to see that it was the number1 thing on the agenda there as well. There were so many other pressing issues for our city here in Daly City at that moment. If people remember, April 12th was 5 days of silence after a man was shot and killed here in Daly City. Roger Allen was shot sitting in a car in a residential area 2 blocks from high school. And so my immediate concern that weekend and up until Monday, and that of many in the community, was that, first and foremost, that was a long meeting. I want to say it was 3 or 4 hours. And actually there was over an hour, maybe 2 hours of community comments and input around a resolution that was being passed for the right to live and work and just be in Daly City because of the impact of gentrification, because of the impacts of not just the pandemic, but the economy that has always impacted Daly City as one of the lowest income communities here in North County and San Mateo County altogether. So they were addressing that with the resolution, encouraging the city to encourage landlords to simply apply for state funding. And many of these families are our families in our district, and many of whom voted for parcel taxes and bond measures to fund our district. Just to reference the comment that people were taking question with, mine was that our district is in a good place financially. Per the reports from Ms. Van Rapport's here, and I think over the last few years, we are actually in a better financial position than we have been since I started being on the board, many of us here. That doesn't change the fact that the inequities are real in our community, and absolutely totally agree. You know, it's impossible. It's becoming impossible to live out here affordably. I understand because I'm a teacher, not paid at a high rate yet. You know, I understand I'm in the same bracket as most people when I'm a renter. And I spoke up with those people to change the laws around that. So just shout out to the community has done that and has come and, you know, showed up for our district and our teachers and faculty, our teachers and our staff, who obviously benefit from those things. And of course, our students and families. Another issue at that meeting was the location of cannabis dispensaries, which is important because cannabis is legal and should be, you know, conducted in its business responsibly. So I was advocating for a distance of 1,000 feet from our schools. And so that was another issue. And of course, most importantly, public comment at the end, because the item was not agendized at that meeting and it hasn't been since, which is horrible. It speaks to a lot of things, lack of transparency and accountability on our Daly city council level. But it was the issue of policing and violence in our communities, which, you know, I think when we're thinking about, you know, different issues in our community, it kind of took me back to hear the comments a little bit, to see that the largest issue for some people was the way I described the budget versus the killing of a man, where there has been no forthcoming information from the city or county on many levels. So those are my priorities. I would ask you to consider that as well. Take that to heart, please. As fellow teacher, I understand if you have your concerns about where I stand in terms of helping with budget and funding in our community, but I've stood in solidarity with so many things for this community. And in addition to the fact that as a high school graduate, you know, I was learning union organizing and community organizing, whether it's at UCLA, at City College, San Francisco, or San Francisco State. And I've gone to bat for teachers, faculty, students for decades. So literally, and I can say that because I do agree with finding ways to support our district in every way possible. But I think with respect to what people were asking, I can't totally fault you for your comments because I could describe things better. I'll take that, and I'll ask you to respect the fact that, you know, you can approach things in a way that presents things, I think, in a more informed manner. If you don't have the information, which I can't blame you for, then you can't make an informed decision or an informed comment on that. So we'll have the information tonight. I will thank Vice President Lee for putting it on the agenda to request an update. It is a larger matter we'll be discussing later on, so I look forward to that around Serramonte Del Rey. But I would encourage just, you know, please come in with public comments. Please keep coming with that. I encourage that. You know, just respect the fact that, you know, just like the classroom, this is a boardroom, and we work based on facts. And so I would encourage you to look at all the facts before, you know, making those comments and have a healthy discussion on these things. So with that, I'll pass on to the next trustee. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Oliver-Dean.
Hi, so we have a vaccination event at Jefferson this Saturday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. There's a lot of available vaccinations now. My big concern is that the local government and our state government seems to have given up on seeing where the infection rate is, and it's just like everything's going to open regardless. And so our one thing that we can use to keep ourselves safe is just making sure that we get herd immunity, and I really would like to get our district and all of our cities that feed into our district above that 80–85% threshold that we need. So I know there's still a little bit of work to do, so this is an opportunity. You don't need anything, just come, you can walk in. If you have health insurance, that's great, bring it. If you don't have health insurance, you don't need it. If you don't need an ID, you just need to bring yourself and anyone else that needs to be vaccinated. It is a Pfizer vaccine, so it's available to anyone 12 and up. Students who don't have a parent that come with them, you just need a consent form. You can reach out to the district office, or you can email me at kalimahs@gmail.com, and I can send you the consent. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Lee?
I've got nothing to report.
All right. Well, I went to the Student Advisory Council meeting. It was awesome, as usual. And that is all I'm going to say right now, trying to get my daughter through the end of the year. All right. So, Ms. Presta, Superintendent's report.
Thank you. I'm going to be brief. I wanted to add on that there are 2 more COVID vaccine clinics happening in our community. I want to echo what Trustee Serramonte said. We need to get vaccinated. One of them is at the Shelley Event Center, and that's May 20th from 2 to 7. That's at Lake Merced. And then every Tuesday at Daly City Youth Health Center as well. I just took my 13-year-old son there today, and it was really quick and positive and sunny experience, so that was nice. And then we're in the last 2 weeks of school. This is our last regular board meeting scheduled, and we're excited. I'm excited that we have students on campus, and then we're going to have in real life, in-person graduation. So I'm super proud of everybody. Looking forward to it. That is it.
Great. Ms. Casey, the AFC Local 1481 report.
Hi. I just want to report out that I'm really concerned about the fact that we're changing everything all at once. So, you know, the state is saying that we can do all sorts of different things without masks if you're vaccinated. We still don't have enough people vaccinated worldwide. There's going to be travel. So the surveillance testing, basically they just said, we're not, you know, we don't think you need to do that anymore. We're not paying for it. So I'm just really concerned, and I want to caution everyone that we will be keeping an eye out over the summer. I know we want to, you know, have everything back to normal in the fall, please. You know, but we need to keep doing things to keep ourselves safe and others safe. So I'm just really concerned about all that happening at once. Other than that, I think I'll keep it short and sweet, and we're really excited to be coming to the end of this year. I know summer school is going to be happening, ESY is still going to be happening, so there will still be people around. There will still be wellness counselors around. Thank you so much. Through summer. So please, families and staff, please seek us out if you need anything. Thank you.
That's it. We have a hybrid instruction update.
We do not, actually. No updates tonight.
So consent agenda items. Motion?
Move to approve consent.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That public comment. Ms. Bell, do we have public comment?
Yes, we have one for, just to address a non-agenda item at this time.
Okay.
I just informed them two.
Okay.
So the first name that I will call is Melissa Aguilar Fama Usili. Melissa? I think I saw her on there.
Oh, I see her on here.
Melissa?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes.
Okay.
And
So I just wanted to say something brief about EASY before it was the IHS, the Institute of Human Social Development. I enrolled my son there when he was 2 years old, and I just want to say how that program has actually helped my son, but not only him, but also me. So I am a single mother, and actually the program has been able to provide early education for my son. They have been able to help me teach him and stay up to date with school regulations, as learning how to read at a young age, his ABCs, preparing him to go to kindergarten. And then they also have helped me by actually pushing me to accomplish my goals. If it wasn't for them, I don't think I would be finishing my studies right now. So I'll be graduating from SF State on this Friday. So they're the ones that actually helped me go to school full time while they watched my son and provided education for him. So I just wanted to say that I really like the program. It's a safe program. I have also interacted with other parents. We all agree that if it wasn't for the program, we would be having a hard time doing education or having full-time jobs or being able to provide for our families. So I just wanted to say how helpful that program has been in my life and in my family's life.
Ask a clarifying question. Is there a reason why we're getting that? We're not in charge of Head Start, so I'm not.
I think that because of our Serramonte Del Rey project includes a Head Start component. So some families are made aware. I think that was supposed to be with item 15B2.
Oh, 15B2, okay. So this is in regards to item 15B2. Okay. Is this about the development? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, yeah, it was more a question for her. Like, was this about, I was asking her.
Next speaker is Melissa Ambrose. Melissa, are you still there?
I'm here. I just want to make a general comment, and just a little bit actually in response to what you just said, Trustee Ochapente. So I just want to point out the complexity of human nature. So I deeply celebrate your advocacy and your political justice social work that you've been doing in Daly City. I understand that gentrification is harmful for actually everybody in the community, and I abhor police violence, particularly against Black male bodies and Black female bodies. And I see that it's a massive issue. So all of that is true. And it's also true that I get to stay in this district. Like Trustee Tejada said, Sequoia has tried to reach out to me, and other school districts that actually pay more than Sequoia have tried to recruit me. And I am privileged to be able to stay and work in this district. That is because of my own background, not because of the pay that's afforded to that this district can pay me. And so it is really critical to me that those issues be separated, so that when the comments surfaced about what you said at City Council, it rippled through the staff a little bit like a slap across the face. Like this staff, we are hemorrhaging staff due to low pay. We cannot, like, there are several people that just applied for wellness positions that were excellent and also representative of what the students in our community are. And that is critical to me, that young people in the mental health world don't just see white faces, right? It's been researched and it's been shown that people who work with people like them feel more comfortable and have more productive mental health work done. And several of the people turned us down that are excellent because they got better offers, not because our kids are any less important or our program is less important. So those issues must be separate, and we must do whatever we can to help increase the salaries in the district. We are not competitive with San Francisco Unified and San Mateo Union and Sequoia, and not even with South San Francisco. We don't cut it. And so that's just true. And I would really appreciate if that truth could be held while lots of other complex truths could be held at the same time. Lots of things are true simultaneously. Like I can be a jerk and I can be really kind and wonderful. So that's true. And I just feel like it's important to note that. Thank you. I appreciate everybody listening to me.
Thank you, Melissa, for your comments. And that's all for the speakers on non-agenda.
Should we start with the item that we pulled? Do you want to put that in the discussion? 13, B. Okay. 13B2. No, we're 14.
I don't know, it's pulled from consent.
I don't want to pull from consent. Yeah.
13B31, additional survey work with
12B31.
We want to do an action or
discussion. Oh,
no?
actually, we want that in action.
Yeah, I think we just go to discussion right now.
Okay, we'll go to discussion. I'm sorry.
And we did pull 14A2, but we kept 14A1.
Yes, that's 14A1. Okay.
So this, I just wanted to put it, because I have been given this in my board report, but you really shouldn't be given direction from the board report. So I want to put on an agenda so we could give direction to look into the discussion about our MOU with the Daly City Police and seeing what we can do to scale back, or even, I would prefer remove our police from our campuses, especially looking at how often police are on our campuses in Daly City versus how often they're on our campuses in Pacifica. So having that discussion, I know we have a work study coming up, so that might be a good place to start it, and also like looking at board policy, but I just wanted to give that direction and get other board feedback and see if we could agree to give that direction.
So we're not going to go in depth right now.
I didn't want to go in depth. I've been saying it, but you know, I'm just one board member, so and we can't really have a board discussion on non-agendized items. So I just want to have it put it on the board so we could have that discussion and hopefully start moving forward.
I definitely would like to, look at this further. Definitely. Safety is number one, and if our students, this is the thing we have to discuss. If our students don't feel safe and they feel uncomfortable, so listen to that. Mr. Roach, please give a candidate.
Yeah, no, just to kind of, respond and contribute to the discussion. Thank you, Trustee Saludian, for putting this on the agenda. As I mentioned last thing, I think it is an important and relevant issue to discuss. It is a discussion item, so I know we're not taking any action on something, but I think in discussing the current MOU, which was at least updated January of last year, 2020, it's important to discuss a lot of the things that we've seen past year, right? Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, right? These are a lot of things that, a lot of people and a lot of issues that have been raised in terms of police violence and issues that have been unresolved in our country. And I think our world in terms of the militarization of just security, right? Law enforcement. What does law enforcement mean? What does public safety mean? And I think as our world has moved to redefine these things and seeing actual public policy move forward, including our new Attorney General, Rob Bonta, take on these issues head on and address them at the legal level. I think our role at the school board level is to address where we are and where police are in our district. And if they do have a place here in that sense. Certainly as, a teacher and as somebody who's worked in case managing and just community organizing, my understanding of police in terms of working around youth should be limited in scope, given the fact that we have people who do most of what their job would be on our campuses. If the argument has been, and I've heard this in other districts, or at least by police departments, 2 other districts, is that they could play the role of a counselor, or that they're there as in whatever capacity. We have counselors. Security, we have security. We have teachers, we have role models, and of course, youth will make mistakes. But whether that necessitates having the presence of a law enforcement officer on campus, I would say no. In almost every instance, unless it is an extreme emergency, in which case, of course, in legal emergencies, 911 is the first number to call, when it's required. And I say that as somebody who's worked around emergencies. I will say in my part, as somebody who's EMT trained, I received my certification years ago while I was working at Thornton High School as an intern, unpaid as a volunteer, teaching assistant. I understand that probation officers may be on campus at times. I understand that police will be in the vicinity of campuses, but I've never heard a student say that makes them feel more safe or more secure or healthier, or create a healthier learning environment. But the issue should be discussed because it's something we're discussing in our communities and certainly in our classrooms. At least our students are raising the issue both in and outside the classroom. So in terms of this MOU, I would say that we can discuss it. I would like to hear from other trustees, of course, and student trustees, everybody as well. But looking at the work being done in Oakland, as a teacher in Oakland, seeing what the Black Organizing Project has done in removing police from the schools in Oakland and moving that from the budget, it obviously came to our attention last year. And per our former superintendent, Dr. Deloria, we don't have school resource officers, not in the capacity that used to be on our campuses, what my understanding is. And Superintendent Price, I would ask if you would like to clarify anything different from that point in time or anything around our MOU. But I do understand that South City Unified has also engaged this topic and is a relevant one as San Mateo County, as we're seeing right now with the shooting and killing of Roger Allen. You know, with any police violence that's happening in our community, that those questions need to be answered and we need to be clear on our relationship in terms of how we navigate education in the context of that moving forward. So I'll stop there, but I want to pass it off to fellow trustees and of course student trustees and everybody here to get a fuller discussion.
So I do think we do need to have probably a much deeper discussion at a future meeting. I agree with that, and I agree with the comments that are being made. I mean, we're in a society right now where there's a lot of questions that need to be addressed. And when we mention the word safety, what does that actually mean? We have some segments of our society have one perception of what safety means with law enforcement agencies, and others have a completely different definition of what safety means. So we need to define what does that mean for us and our community. And I do think we need to have a much deeper, intensive discussion and understand exactly what roles law enforcement has played on our campuses and what roles we would like them to play or not play in our community. So I fully agree.
Yeah, and then I think just taking in this light, our equity statement about disruption of current societal norms, right? And it's become a societal norm that, there's a reason why they want to play such a heavy role in schools. And I've not seen a school where there hasn't been a large police presence that isn't also a school-to-prison pipeline. So, what role are we playing in holding up this current societal norm? And it's not all on the police department. When Tony and I had a meeting, they made a very good point that we do call them a lot for certain things that they felt like we shouldn't be calling them for. So also looking into our role, and of course, I'm not naive. There's always going to be things where we're going to have to, legally ed code that we're required to have police. That's not the conversation I'm having. I'm having on more, can we lean more on law enforcement? Can we lean more on our own security in our school and have them more trained on how better to work with our students and have them do more of the things that are around football, our own mental health professionals doing more of the things that are around certain issues instead of leaning on police, kind of like because I understand it, there's a huge gap in our community on when you have a trauma or mental health or something, there's no middle ground to go to, and so can we create that instead of leaning on them? So that's the conversation I would like to have, and if we could have that at some time moving forward, that'd be great.
No, I agree. As you were talking, it made me think about the equity network we were in with JUHSD and about the question about the paradigms that we carry into all of this. And that's the fact that when we're talking about equity, it is about changing our mindsets. And this discussion is something that we need to change our mindset, as you were just saying, with regards to how we respond and utilize law enforcement.
That was it. So yeah, we're all in agreement. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I just want to note for the record that Trustee Garrett has logged on to the meeting. It's a conflict, so she logged on at 8:26 p.m. And happy birthday. Happy birthday. Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry to be a little late today, but I am here as needed. So thank you for having me join in a little bit later.
On to the action item. Let's start out with 12B31. That's the additional survey work with BKS for new district office of education facility.
Would you like me to share it?
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Do you want me to go through it? Thank you, President Tejada. This item is for $5,000 for additional topographical study that needs to be done for the new district office and new adult school building. It's with a company that we already have an agreement with, BKF Engineers.
Okay. Is there any questions from the board? Mr. Hutchison?
Yeah. First, can we, thank you for pulling it up. It's not accessible directly unless a certain app is bringing it up. It's not listed as a PDF on our agenda. Is one of the reasons, primary reason I wanted to pull it so that the public would know what we're deciding here. So this is an additional service request. If you can scroll down, I guess, you know, fees $5,000. It seems pretty straightforward in terms of what it is in the first page. So this is a map of Westmore Park, and of course, Westmore High School part of it. Can you describe what differences or what, you know, maybe what just what's listed here and what that means first?
So it's just some additional work that the engineers have asked for to make sure that we have the topographical study done of these areas, the stairs, some of the water valves in the street weren't, we didn't know about right in the beginning of the project. And so as they get into the project, more things are discovered. And this is a very small amount of scope for this project. $5,000 is, this is probably, you know, like a $50 million project.
Yeah, like I said, $5,000 is not my primary concern here. I mean, I think just what's going on so people could know what the contract is about and just the ongoing work there, I think is important. I took I stopped by recently and I noticed too, I had a question for the last time this was brought up, given that we're looking at the topographical map and just, you know, where these trees are in the middle. Those are like long-standing trees there. I remember when I grew up, I'm sure anybody who's around Westmore Park remembers that. Are there any plans? I mean, we haven't completely, you know, I guess, finished this process. What input from the community will we have in terms of retaining some aspects of the park? Of course, there are going to be some serious changes because we're relocating the district office there and the programs.
Mr. Ochacinti, that's not part of this agenda item. So. Oh
no, I was asking. This is a map about some of these alterations. Would these affect the prior plan, and if so, how would they affect these trees here in the park and other things?
So this is not have nothing to do with that. If Ms. Van Rockworth wants to address that.
So I mean, yes, this is study work that needs to happen in order for the project to go forward. We had an update from Ms. Phillips in a meeting, I want to say maybe like 6 weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago. I don't know, time is fluid right now. But we could agendize it again to talk further about it. But there was a graphic of that project if we can find. In fact, I'll link that to our weekly update this week so that you can see what was discussed at that meeting.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I see it as part of this discussion because we're looking at a map with projected, changes to what we're going to do with the park. So to me, it has everything to do with it. But I would like that discussion to continue. Yeah.
This is not changing the scope of the project at all. What it is changing is what the engineers are going to draw their topographical maps on, because of the project. They need to draw a topographical map in order for the CEQA process, for the Department of State architects, for all of the approvals. They need to have these maps drawn. And there were parts of their map scope that weren't included in the first round. And as people started doing their work, they're like, oh, we need a map of this. Oh, we need a map of that. And so this is just, it doesn't change the scope of the actual project at all, just what maps are being drawn.
If I may add, the construction update occurred on the February 2nd board meeting, which was comprehensive, including this particular project. So at this point, I would move to accept this item.
If there's any other questions from Trustee Ochapinti?
Yeah, Mr. Ochapinti, were there any other questions on this item? The $5,000 item?
I'm not sure your question, but Ms. Van Rapport did answer most of mine. And yeah, I guess scope isn't the right word to describe. I mean, just changes to the project to me are important. As an alum from Westmore too, I care about these things a lot. But I think it's important to know, and thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. So 15A1, that's the extension of the current MOUs and side letters agreement. Ms. Espino?
We're moving on to 15B2 first. 15B2?
Oh.
Yeah.
It's all right. There's a lot of stuff.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, board members. We'll start with 15B2, the update and recommendation for Serramonte Del Rey Revitalization Project. Okay. Michelle?
I do apologize for the interruption, President Tejada, but we do have individuals that would like to speak on this particular item.
On
15.
Okay.
We have the presentation first and then
we'll have Ms. Van Rapport do the presentation first. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, President Tejada. Good evening, everyone. Before I start the presentation, I just would like to introduce our partners from Brookwood that are here tonight. The President, Alan Katz, as well as Bruce Bakuji and Chris White, I believe are all on the line, and they will help me with this update to the board. We're going to go through background, the presentation, community feedback, and timelines, as well as additional outreach that we have planned. So this project addresses many of the challenges that the district faces. We have an outdated facility here on this campus, as you know. The improvements that we would need to do in order for this project in order for us to stay in this building or for us to continue to be at this campus are prohibitive. We wouldn't be able to afford those costs. It wouldn't make good financial sense for us to do that. We want to try to generate funds to attract and retain teachers and staff. And we have done this in the past. We have a history of having some property that we've leased and generate an annual revenue on. This project is an innovative plan. Not many school districts do this. We have an opportunity here to provide housing, retail, and publicly accessible parks, to generate revenue for the district through attracting private development on district land. Not only is this innovative in the approach of the school district, but you'll see it's an innovative design that we hope could be a model for how development can truly transform neglected spaces in our community into beautiful neighborhoods. So how we got to this point, back in 2017-18, you may recall that you did a series of site visits. In those site visits, there was an overwhelming concern about our ability to attract and retain staff. And we started figuring out what is it that we can do to try to address this problem. We developed a three-pronged approach that we would try to pass a new parcel tax, which we did. Check. We said we would build educator housing, which we are well underway on and hopefully opening May of 2022. So exciting. And we said we would explore how we could generate revenue from our underutilized properties. And we partnered with Brookwood to look at a number of different properties. We looked at Oceana High School, we looked at Westmore Park, we looked at Terranova High School, and we looked at this campus here. And it was determined that this campus, Serramonte Del Rey, had the best earning potential. And then in June of 2019, the board voted to borrow funds for us to be able to go through this entitlement process. And then in July of that same year, we contracted with Brookwood to lead this entitlements process. So the district has borrowed money in order to get this process underway and get us through all of the entitlement processes so that the city of Daly City would approve the project. And then after that, we'll be able to solicit developers that will then pay us so that we can pay back those loans and then have more revenue for the district. So on April 22nd, we did submit a plan to the city of Daly City. And tonight, at the end of this presentation, and after the discussion, the board will be asked to affirm their support for this project, as well as direct staff with regards to public input. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Bruce Bakuji, who's going to review the project. Thank you, Bruce.
Great. I thank you, Tina. Thank you, board members, for the opportunity to join you this evening. I love seeing the student recognition, the trustee recognition, and all the wellness, your wellness team and all the work they're doing. It's really fabulous. So another reason why we really appreciate having the opportunity to work with you. So I'm going to walk you through the concepts for the Serramonte Del Rey neighborhood. Brookwood's very excited to have the opportunity to work with you on this. We're excited about the plan. And if you haven't had a chance, this is just talking with the audience, you should definitely go visit the serramontedelrey.org website that's been put together for the project. And you can learn more about it in detail. And you can take the survey and you can also show some of your support if you're interested in that. So just a little background on that. So where I wanted to start with is just, you know, the unique opportunities that you have with the Serramonte Del Rey site, with your high school site. You know, we've done a lot of neighborhood planning and urban design throughout the United States. And this site we found was actually really pretty captivating in terms of what the opportunities are for being able to create a neighborhood. This graphic right here is an aerial view looking south over Highway 1. And then you can see Highway 35, and you can see the plan area in yellow. That's kind of the area that we're focusing on. You know, and the site, you know, it's a plateau, it's been cut, it's a hillside setting. It's tree screened throughout, which is actually quite amazing in terms of how it fits already in your existing neighborhood. And then it really makes sense to have a higher density housing here. I mean, you have south of the campus area, you have the existing high density residential multifamily, and then just across Serramonte Boulevard, you have where Highway 1 is, you have multifamily, high density multifamily there. And then, you know, up on St. Francis, you have very high density single family. You know, Daly City is really known for that housing type. So, and then there's nearby shopping. You have the, you know, And also you have Geller Park. So you have a lot of resources that are right there. And one of the things that we look at is a sort of 5-minute walk, which is really kind of defines the scale of a neighborhood. And so this plan area would be right in the center and be able to kind of create some new amenities that would be attractive for the residents who live around the area and not just for the residents who will be future residents who will live there. The other part of it is that, Serramonte Boulevard has very high frequency bus service. You have short distance to be able to get to BART. You have Highway 1 access that gives you immediate freeway access to destinations on the peninsula and, San Francisco. So, it's a very good location for being able to do, multifamily housing. Can we go to the next slide? So this is a little bit on site analysis. As planners, we want to kind of evaluate the opportunities, constraints of development and what can fit on the site. This is a view kind of over the Serramonte apartments looking north. So Highway 1 is on the top of the page. You can see the existing district school facilities. There's a proposed location there's where the faculty and staff housing is under construction. What struck us in looking at this is that, we did some looking at the existing facilities. They need a lot of seismic work. It's really not cost effective to try to upgrade or modify those facilities. They really need to be, transformed. So we looked at what to do for the site. It's flat, which is super helpful. It's a very large size, 22 acres, and you have a Highway 1 access, which I've mentioned. The way the cut and fill has been done is that your site's screened from views. One of the challenges is, and these red arrows show it, there's only 2 ways to kind of get in and out of the site, on Campus Drive south to Hickey or along Serramonte where the Highway 101 on and off ramps are. So it kind of sets up how do you think about creating a street network to be able to subdivide the site. And then there's these hillsides, which are tree, kind of somewhat forested tree side, hillsides. And so both of those are also opportunities for how to connect people to nature and to, screen the project. And then you have really expansive views, to the north and to the east, which I think are really at higher elevations make the site really remarkable. So that's a little bit about the site. We just, in looking at this and how to transform this existing site to be able to, really fund the future of education and attract and retain, highly qualified teachers and staff. We realize that what's unique about this is it's not a project being done by a, private real estate developer. It's being done by a school district. So it has to be done in phases, and each phase has to kind of pay its way in terms of how it advances. But the goal is to be able to create a walkable, bikeable, safe, family-friendly neighborhood that has shopping, parks, and nature trails, and it's an attractive thing. So the way we started looking at it is, it's kind of kick-started with the faculty and staff housing under construction. That's what we're calling Parcel A in the top left corner. And then the next piece of this would be Parcel B, which is what we're seeing. It's like 4 to 7 stories, market rate rental housing project that would have ground floor retail. Part of what we're looking at is then also creating a new entry drive, an entryway road that comes right in at the Highway 1 Serramonte Boulevard intersection, and then actually to create a retail main street, that has a kind of active ground floor uses, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. And then to balance that out, we have on the east side, we're creating an overlook park, which is a public park, and we'll talk about the amenities of all that. And all this is going to happen, and the existing district facilities will continue to remain in operation. So that's sort of the first phase, and then the second phase is, is that then there's a demolition of the existing district facilities, the cleaning of the site, the prepping of the site, and then we see 2 subsequent phases, is really 3. But in the second half of it, after the school district's facilities are removed, is we have what we're calling Parcel D and C. They're on the east, and that's going to be market rate housing, Parcel D, and then Parcel C would be affordable housing, a standalone, affordable housing project. One of the goals that the district has is really, being inclusive around housing. And, we're looking at how to exceed what the city's below market rate, housing requirements are. So, in this commitment, we're looking at up to 20% of all the housing would be affordable. That's low, very low and moderate income, housing. So this would be, 120 or so, up to 100 units of affordable housing. And then also with parcel C is this little parcel is sort of C2, but that would be the relocation for Head Start. So that we're creating a home to be able to preserve Head Start. The district's very committed to accommodating that on a long-term basis. So, the master plan looks at how to be able to accommodate the needs for classrooms, outdoor play areas, parking, pickup, drop off. So that's an important part of the plan. And that would happen in the next sort of steps of that. And then, the other two parcels, just parcel, E, which would also be, market rate rental housing. And a part of that would also be the build out of what we're calling the central green. It's a kind of the heart of the neighborhood. It's a large neighborhood park. It's really the feature of the plan. All of the housing sites all sort of face and have addresses off of the park. So, you come off Serramonte Boulevard, you enter the project, and then you arrive at this park, which will be a tree line. And then there's, parcel F would be the last piece of that. And, the whole plan is designed around active transportation so that they're walkable, bikeable, network. And I'll talk more about some of the amenities around doing all that. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah, great. So this is just the, the faculty and staff housing. It just gives you an idea of, what's under construction, the quality of it. This is for 3-4 story, rental housing, very low and moderate income for teachers and staff. It's going to have, we're very excited about the design. It's a really beautiful design. It's really to add to the quality of the environment in that area. And it includes making improvements to the bus stop that's along Serramonte Boulevard, new shelter, seating, some signage. So we're very excited about that. This gives you kind of an idea of what the quality of what we're thinking about in terms of the architecture and the build out of the campus. Next. And then I just want to talk about the experience. This is on the intersection of Serramonte, Boulevard, and where the Highway 1 ramps come off, and this is sort of the entry experience. This is really the transformative part of this. It's like today you go to the Serramonte site and it's really kind of hidden behind all the trees. And really what we're doing is sort of bringing up all this, the housing to really face onto Serramonte Boulevard to create a new entrance to the city, to create an entrance to the neighborhood. We're trying to create an inviting, family-friendly place where you can, ground floor retail activities so that you can invite your friends, or if you want to have a cup of coffee, or if you're really a foodie, or if you're like, a young professional or a new parent, or want to walk your dog, whatever it is, you'll be able to walk right in through here. And there's to be a series of inviting people, places to make this attractive. And it includes, improving the bus stop there so that, it creates a orientation to transit and transit access, which we think is very important for, sustainability. So that's the entrance, and then we'll go to the next one. The next place is when you go down the entry drive we're creating. It's kind of like a pocket Main Street. It's going to have, it can have food services, it can have a restaurant, it can have a brew pub, it can have, coffee, it can have a lot of different things. But it's a place where you can, be part of your daily life, for the residents who are there or people who want to visit. There's going to be parking, that you go into, you drive into, and there's parking inside the building for retail users who want to come there. But these kind of conveniences are really going to bring the place to life, and we're excited about that as being all part of the first development that happens. So these amenities are going to happen right away. And when we did our neighborhood meetings, we had 2 neighborhood meetings, and then we had a community-wide meeting. And all the feedback that we got from that, this was sort of the thing people really love the most. There'll be some neighborhood retail, so we're very excited about that. So let's go to the next slide. And then, the thing that makes neighborhoods the sort of the thing that's the treasured part of a neighborhood really is the parks and the open spaces. It's the places that everybody wants to be able to go to. You know, it's a place where you get a chance to kind of connect to nature, get kind of a break from your, you know, life for a minute, and then, you know, connect with friends, you know, for kids to be able to play and recreate. So we're looking at how to design this Overlook Park and have it really have a family-friendly orientation. So there's, you know, play structures, there's terrace seating areas for being able to, like, you know, have a picnic. You know, there's a trail that goes around the perimeter of it that's all, that's a bike and pedestrian trail that connects from the, you know, transit all the way to the Summit Chest School. So, you know, and we see this as a very attractive sort of destination place. So those are sort of the elements that we're seeing in the beginning of the project. Let's go to the next slide. You know, so I think it's just helpful to kind of see the whole thing in, you know, in perspective. You know, this is a view on Serramonte Boulevard, kind of a drone view really above the St. Francis Boulevard. You know, looking, you can see the sites cleared for, you know, faculty and staff housing center construction, you know, and, you know, it's ripe for change. I mean, through all over the United States, these kinds of underutilized sites have been looked at as opportunities for being able to do urban infill, you know, and so this is the existing site. You know, it's kind of past its useful life. And then this is what the first phase will look like. You know, it's 122 units of faculty and staff housing in the foreground, you know, improvements to Serramonte Boulevard, and there's 201 to 210 units of, you know, mixed use, you know, market rate rental housing, you know, and then all the amenities I just talked about in terms of the neighborhood streets, improvements to the, you know, and the Overlook Park and things like that, and the district offices, you know, remain. So that's phase one. And then just, you know, the second part really is kind of the, you know, phase two, which is the overall build out. And the next big amenity that happens in the second part, and here we are kind of up Highway 1 looking, you know, north, you know, east, south, you know, west, you know, up, down into the project side. You can see Callan in the foreground and the cemetery. You know, the next sort of, you know, 4 parcels of development. Oh, stay here. Thanks. You know, or it's going to be the higher density parts of the project. You know, we're looking at 2 14-story residential towers that are set back from Serramonte Boulevard. It helps follow the sort of terrain of the hillside. You can see as St. Francis Boulevard goes up in elevation, and the buildings step up in elevation. You know, so we have you know, 7, you know, fewer. This is smaller than the heights that were already approved that are allowed in the existing plan, and it's already approved. But, you know, we've been working with Seidel Architects to create, you know, address this issue about providing housing and innovative housing solutions for the housing shortage and crisis that the Bay Area has been experiencing. And so we've been looking at how to create high density, you know, urban solutions that are really livable, you know. And so part of how we do that is looking at these different building types. You know, the taller ones would be, you know, up to 14 stories. They'd be made out of like lightweight steel with, you know, concrete construction, parking all contained within the sites at each site. So, you know, each site has all the parking that it needs, you know, included in that development, you know. So I think that's a very important part of how we're thinking about that. And then all the streets are really designed to be bike friendly. They either have buffered bike lanes, which are like their own bike lane, which is separation for car movements, or there's some shared bike and travelway streets. And then we have this whole completely dedicated sort of bicycle pedestrian route. And I'll show you that more in a second. So can we go to the next slide? You know, I think a lot of people wonder, well, what's the thing going to look like when it's built out? And we kind of feel that showing the sort of before and afters are really good. This is looking down Serramonte, sort of before and after. And, you know, all those trees stay, but we kind of ghosted them in a bit so you can actually see through them to be able to see the buildings, because in a way, you really, you know, you're not going to be able to see a lot of them. The main thing you're really, you know, this is a view from Serramonte and Callan looking up at sort of tree-covered hillsides. And then here you can see in a more transparent way the parcel B development, that mixed use development. And, you're actually not even going to be able to see, the other market rate and affordable housing development because of the way it's set back and the way the heights are stepped. But we thought it's helpful for you to be able to kind of just visualize what kind of change will be happening. With the next slide, so, I think it's just important. A lot of people wonder kind of, well, what is it about the plan that's special? And I just thought I would highlight some of the features that we know that are really going to make this a wonderful place for people to live and visit. The first one's the parks, the Overlook Park, which I've talked about, parcel B, the Central Green, which is going to have a plaza. That's going to be a place where you go, you get your cup of coffee or tea or sandwich or something, and then you can just walk across the street and be in the park. It's designed for, if you have a lot of residents that are living here, that it's big enough to be able to kind of accommodate a lot of different people. It's an entire city block in length. So we love that place. And then we have this sort of trail, loop. We have it on both hillsides. We have it on the, western hillside, that goes around parcel F, and then we have it on the eastern hillside, and that one's actually a combined bike and pedestrian trail, so kids can ride their bikes safely on there too. So we're excited about that. There's a retail, which I mentioned, sort of cafe plaza, great placemaking, Head Start staying, and then we're going to be making improvements to the Serramonte, Highway 1, interchange, right, on and off ramps. You're to fix that intersection and make it a pedestrian bike friendly intersection, make it easy to get to and from transit, help implement the city's bike walk plan, so we're looking at all those improvements there too. So those are kind of the plan amenities. Next slide. We did this, these next two slides are about what we learned from our community outreach. We were, obviously in the period of COVID, it's really hard to go about doing this. I think that I've never been on a project that's done like the extensive amount of just trying to get out the people outreach. I mean, on social media, we posted on Facebook, Twitter, on Nextdoor. We went to 3 different, neighborhoods in Nextdoor that has access to like 35,000 people in terms of the total reach of all those people. We had our website we put up. We had over 514 different sessions. People came and looked at the website. It's incredible. We did an online survey. We had great results from that. We sent out postcards in both English and Spanish, over 500 postcards twice to people who live within, a reasonable distance of the project, anyone who might be really interested. We did flyers, we did leaflets, we posted posters, we coordinated with city staff and going through who we should contact and how to contact them. We communicated over 1,100 addresses. So, I mean, that's a monumental effort. We had good attendance, not great attendance, by any means, but, we got good attendance. And I think that given that notice and the kind of attendance that reflected the people who really care and who really want to be involved. So we had 2 neighborhood meetings. We had a citywide meeting. We had over 33 people participate overall, unique people, 329 unique website users. The meetings were great. We did it, in English, Spanish, and Tagalog. So, we made sure that anyone who was interested could be able to hear and understand in their native language, and we had translators involved. We had presentation, Q&A, and we had breakout groups, which allowed for very individualized time with the project team and with district leadership and staff to just talk about how people felt about the project. We focused on 2 questions, what do you like and what do you think could be better? And it kind of opened it up for all kinds of discussion. What people like, just the highlights, people love retail. People feel like it's hard to get to it. To be able to walk would be wonderful. They like that it's not a project, we're creating a neighborhood. They like the design of it as a neighborhood. They felt the density was great, it worked, there's no problems with that. Revitalizing an area that's neglected. I think that there's some concerns people have about homelessness, drug dealing, there's other things that have been brought up as points that we've heard about. So changing this into being a family-friendly, safe environment, I think people love that. They also like that we're trying to connect to nature, outdoor fitness, children, tot lots, family-friendly, safe. One of the things we're looking at with these hillside planted areas is, how do you do sort of urban forestry? You know, how do you selectively clear out some areas to minimize fire hazards, and then do a succession plan as outdated and older trees or you know, diseased trees or other things can be replaced by others that can actually help fill out creating a habitat, you know, for, you know, so we were very excited about that idea. And then, you know, we listened to how people felt about it. I mean, people were concerned about parking. You know, there are people parking there now, and now they can't park there. There's some concerns about that. You know, don't impact our neighborhood, people's cars. You know, traffic, what's going to happen on Serramonte. You know, bike safety, there's a whole series of discussions about bike safety. And then the demonstration garden came up, and we're going to talk about that more in just a minute. So that's kind of the feedback. It was very helpful to hear, and I think it was well received. And I think people really do want to help the district. I was clear about that. So just, you know, briefly on the garden, you know, you all know the history. I mean, it's created for adult special education, you know, and then with, you know, COVID and other things, that, you know, it was getting kind of neglected. You had some volunteer activity happening in the garden. And then there's been these discussions with the insurance provider around what's needed in order to maintain safety. And Rosie, did you have a question? You're raising your hand. Am I out of time or?
Where's had a comment? I was just gonna give the background on the garden. I thought we.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, that's great. I'll stop.
Okay, and then you'll jump back in.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give a little bit more background on the garden for anybody who is unaware. About 20 years ago, our adult ed program began an instructional garden at the edge of the property. Over the years, it was used by our adult school, by the students in the adult transition program, and the students in our therapeutic day school. And when we started discussing this project in around January of 2020, I learned that there were also community members that were using the garden. So upon learning this, our insurance company expressed, or providers, not really companies, the JPA, they expressed concern about liability. So I've been working with these community members to become district volunteers so that they can be covered by our liability insurance. And some of these community members have now been approved and have their volunteer applications completed. The community members have expressed concern about the garden being lost, about the loss of green space, about specific plants and animals. And some of the community members are from the Native American community. We've held 4 formal meetings with these stakeholders, trying to talk about how we can program the new green space to meet the needs of everyone in the community, and to point out that the new development actually has almost twice the green space that the garden has. So the garden's about 35,000 square feet, and the new green space, not counting the courtyards, would be about 60,000 square feet. And so we've had those 4 formal meetings and a number of informal meetings, and we are continuing this conversation about how the green space might be programmed, even to provide some programming by and for Indigenous people. We'd like to make this a model of how communities can develop spaces and increase cultural awareness. And then, Bruce, did you want to expand a little bit on some of the design ideas we have been discussing?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to do that. You know, one of the things that, I mean, Tina came up with this. I mean, I think it's great. It's like, how do you create designated places for different uses, different opportunities for uses? And so we, you know, we looked at the site and we said, well, you know, what are some of these things? Because I think in this next round, as we go with more community engagement and involvement and having these conversations, that we can get more feedback to kind of be more focused around how to know what would be the best locations for what. And some of the things we talked about were like, you know, raised garden beds for family use, you know, having it actually be a garden, and we can do lots of different plots and configurations of those things. And they can certainly happen in many locations on the site, and I'll talk about locations in a minute. Another one was, you know, in looking at these discussions we started having around indigenous interests around what's going on here with Rumash, Ohlone tribe and things like that. We would, could there be a gathering area? Could there be a grove? Or could there be a place that, might be you imagine a grove of, evergreen trees that are set to be able to create a setting for being able to have ceremonial or other, gathering activities. Maybe there's tree stumps there and some small picket, some like cross rail fences and landscape. And there's a lot of beautiful things you can do if that's something people wanted to see or do. We talked about like interpretive trails that can talk about, the climate zone and the landscape and how we're looking at evolving the ecology and the habitats of the surrounding hillside areas. So we have a lot of different, possible ideas, and we want to kind of see what people are interested in, get kind of a sense of that. It can happen in a lot of locations. It can happen, south of parcel F, near where the existing community garden is. It can happen in the central green. It can happen at the end of the north, the North Drive access that's over on the hillside along the recreational trail and bike trail. There's a lot of different locations. So, that's what we're thinking. Tina, is there more you want to say on that, or should we keep going? Or
Yeah, we can go on. Thank you.
yeah, I'll keep it short. I know it's late and there's been a lot of presentation, a lot of discussion. It's a couple of things. This timeline, we submitted the project to the city. Tomorrow night is the, first public scoping meeting for the environmental document. It's an opportunity for people to come and learn about the project and raise issues they think should be included in the environmental analysis. That's going to close on June 7th. And then we'll work out alternatives with the district, with the city. And then we're looking at the public release of the draft environmental document happening really kind of in September. There's a 45-day public comment period. There'll be a public meeting that'll be part of that. And then as the environmental process goes forward, we're looking at council actions, planning commission and council action like in the first quarter of next year. Now, in July, the next slide, I'll probably cover that. The city's wanting to have a planning commission hearing on July 6th and a city council hearing on the 26th, just to hear the project. So it's an opportunity for us to present. It's an opportunity for the public to comment. It's an opportunity for the commission and city council to hear all that and then provide some direction and feedback to us and the city and the environmental consultants that the city's hired. So that's coming up. And, we have our website. All
right, and then I'll just briefly add that we want to hear from the community. There's lots of time to still provide input, and the website is serramontedelray.org. There's a survey on the website for people to provide input. We have postcards that we've been passing around that have a QR code that take people to the website. There's a flyer that we developed that we're going to start using with the community, and then we have social media postings that happen from time to time, and we really are always looking for champions of the project. This is exciting. It's a wonderful opportunity for us as a district, and so with that, I will go ahead and stop the presentation. I'm guessing we might want to keep up one of the graphics for
that maybe the site
conversation,
plan.
maybe that one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, my first question is actually looking at the public comment link. Do we have any public comments?
We can't hear you. I don't know what happened with your sound.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
No.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Hello, can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me?
Oh.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
You need to put our headsets on.
Hello, can you hear me now? Hello, can you hear me now? Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay. So,
You may have to rejoin.
all right, so, so
Just wait.
can you all hear me?
Just wait, Nick. They're fixing it, so we can hear you, but I don't think the board can hear you.
Okay.
Test. Testing audio.
So we should unmute ourselves to talk. Is that off now?
No, I can hear you.
No, yeah, just so we can hear them.
Okay, just let me know when to start. Before we begin, if anybody can hear me, if there are any other public comment requests that have been submitted during this meeting, can we please send them a Zoom link? I know in other meetings, city council and school board meetings, that people would join the meeting maybe midway through the agenda. So I would like to welcome them to the meeting. If we can do that, send them a Zoom link or anything they need, given that this topic is important. But yeah, just let me know when we're ready to proceed.
Okay, how about now? Yep. Okay, so Ms. Bell's notified us that we have been receiving public comment requests via email. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate
All right,
that.
thank you.
Let me know when we, I guess, I don't want to interrupt Bruce, Mr. Fukuji wants to continue, or if we're done with the presentation.
Ms. Van Raphorst?
We are finished with the presentation.
Yeah, we're done with the presentation. So why don't we?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open it up for public comment.
Thank you, President Tejada. We do have 8 individuals that would like to speak on this particular item, item 15 Bravo 2. Just a reminder to all 8 speakers that you are timed for 3 minutes, and I will not interrupt you and stop you until your 3 minutes are up. The first speaker is Matthew Wall. Matthew Wall.
Hello there, can you hear me all right? This is Matthew Will speaking.
Hi, Mr. Wall, we can hear you.
Excellent. So for those that don't know me, my name is Matthew Wool, and I'm an English teacher here at Jefferson High School. My dad grew up in Daly City, off Skyline on Fernwood. He went to Westmore, as did my uncle, his brother. I grew up in Daly City. I went to the donut shop in Westlake, and I feel really connected to Daly City. And when I was offered a position to teach at Jefferson High School, it was a real honor, not only for me, but for my parents to work in a place like Daly City. It's been tough with housing, and I'm really excited for the opportunity to perhaps live in the housing that is being built on this site. But one of my biggest concerns about the site was that it created sort of a teacher ghetto, where there were just these houses with all the teachers there, but nothing else really to make it feel like a community or feel like a a place that really felt like home. You know, here at Jefferson High School, I've seen so many great colleagues leave because of the finances, and it's just a strain on the school, on the administrators, on the colleagues for the morale. And we all here know how important it is to retain the great teachers that are willing to teach in this district. And part of that will be this housing project. But housing is not enough. You know, the salary, of course, will help, and the housing will be a huge plus for us. But you know, we want to make sure that this place is a proper community for our teachers, because in the end, if we nurture our teachers, if we nurture the people who are in charge of nurturing the children of our community, then that will benefit the students directly. And that's why I just want to advocate my full support towards this project, not just the teaching and faculty housing, but also the large scale projects that were so well expressed in the presentation. So thank you for listening to me, and I really appreciate all of the information that was presented today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf, for your comments. And next we have Trish Garcia-Lachelt. Trish Garcia-Lachelt.
Hi, good evening. My name is Trish Garcia-Leckold, and I work in the attendance office at Jefferson. I'm also the daughter of a former JUHSD math teacher. Living in the Bay Area is very expensive, and the Serramonte Del Rey development plans would provide a great neighborhood for our staff and teachers, as well as below market and market rate housing. This plan also supports our local community by providing a very accessible and walkable space for all to enjoy. Also, as a staff member of Jefferson High School, I have witnessed teachers leave our district for more lucrative employment less than 10 minutes away. Therefore, I also feel that the plans for Serramonte Del Rey would bring in additional revenue to our district so that we can recruit and, more importantly, retain teachers and staff. For these reasons, I wholeheartedly support the Serramonte Del Rey plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Trish, for your comment. And next we have Nora Spalholz. Nora Spalholz.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. Okay, thank you for having me. My name is Nora Spalholz. I work as the health educator at the Daly City Youth Health Center, teaching sex ed at all the high schools in Jefferson Union High School District. So that's kind of my role in the district. I also am a graduate of Terra Nova. I'm born and raised in Pacifica, and lived in Pacifica for a part of my adult life. And I can say that I really, really love the Bay Area, and I love Pacifica and Daly City. But I agree with everyone. It's been really difficult to, you know, envision a long-term life here because it is so expensive. Housing specifically is so expensive. And I think this project is really exciting because it would, you know, help retain staff. And I can tell you, as someone who graduated Terra Nova in 2009 and now is working in Terra Nova, it's crazy to see how many staff have left. And now the teachers there, I barely know any of them because a lot of them have had to leave due to, you know, different reasons, but financial reasons definitely being some of them. And honestly, when I first heard about this project, I wasn't super interested in it, but after learning more about it, I think it's really cool. Like all the green space that's being offered and the retail, and all the sort of community spaces like the trail and all these things. Like I currently have pretty secure, stable housing, but if that ever changes in the near future, I would definitely consider living here. And overall, I think it's a great project. But that being said, you know, I also think that as this housing project moves forward, I think it's important to prioritize people who have been marginalized or oppressed by different systems, because as much as like I would like to live in a place like this, people like me should not be prioritized. You know, I am lucky and privileged to have, you know, secure housing, and I still have parents who live in Pacifica who I could live with if I needed to. And so I really think that again, as this project moves forward, people who have no other options like should be prioritized. Not people like me who have other options and could fall back on their parents, but people who like really don't have, you know, other ways to stay here. But it seems like a great project overall. I just want to, you know, say that I'm in full support of it, and thank you so much for letting me have this time.
Thank you, Nora, for your comments. Thank you. Next, we have Emily Hanson. Emily Hanson.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, thank you. Good evening, and thank you for your willingness to hear my comments in support of the Serramonte Del Rey Revitalization Project. I have been a special education teacher with JUHSD since 2007, and I have worked at the Serramonte Del Rey site for the entirety of my career with JUHSD so far. I was a teacher in the Therapeutic Day School program for 9 years, and I have been working in the capacity of transition specialist with the Adult Transition Program for the last 5 years. I want to say that I love my job and I love this community, and I appreciate all of the support the board has shown over time. Working in the Serramonte building has been quite an experience, but I won't go into too many details about that. So it's no secret about the high turnover we have at JUHSD, especially when it comes to special education teachers. I've seen many teachers and paraprofessionals come and go over the years. We work with some of the most vulnerable students in the district, and consistency with staffing is critical. I have known staff who wanted to dedicate their career to this district and this community, but they simply could not afford to do so. This is heartbreaking. I have also experienced a lot of administrative changes over the years. Our current leadership should be acknowledged for their innovation and dedication to addressing the salary discrepancy that exists in our district compared to others on the peninsula and surrounding areas. The staff housing development is a perfect example of the out-of-the-box big picture thinking that we need. Now that we have the inspiration and creativity of the Serramonte Del Rey project, I just need to share my enthusiasm and respect for all the hardworking individuals who have put together this development plan. This project will not only be wonderful for the community at large, but it will also support the much needed salary increase that can support the attraction and retention of staff. I have always had to supplement my income by teaching summer school, ESY, working nights at adult ed, and other side jobs. It's exhausting, and I am thrilled about this project. It would also be a relief to no longer see my colleagues leaving to go drive 10 or 15 miles down the peninsula in order to make a reasonable wage or salary. Our students and families absolutely deserve a consistent staff and faculty. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily, for your comments. Next, we have Lakar Maganoy. Lakar Maganoy.
Hi, am I audible enough?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Lekar Maghanay, a science teacher at Thornton High School, and at the same time, the JV volleyball coach at Jefferson High School. And I am going to be speaking to you today about the Serramonte Del Rey Revitalization Project and how important it is to pursue this project. I live here in Daly City, and understanding the innovative plan of our school board to build a fundamental infrastructure where the entire community could benefit is so wise and public spirited. And as a staff member that will be residing in the staff housing someday, it would be an opportunity and it would give me an easy access to it since it is just adjacent to where I live. Accessibility and comfort are the main factors people are enticed to live in a certain place. plus the long-term benefit it could give to our school district in terms of revenues. So I am here very positive and looking forward to this project and taking place, for this project to take place and becoming available. So I am very, I support this project all the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakar, for your comments. Next, we have Angel Barrios. Angel Barrios.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Angel Barrios, and I'm the Executive Director for ISD Early Education. We're formerly known as IHSD Head Start Program. We just rebranded and renamed ourselves. But we're really excited for the Serramonte Del Rey Revitalization Project. And when I saw the pictures and images in your PowerPoint, it made me more excited about your plans. I would like to take this time to appreciate our partnership with Ms. Tina Van Rasport and also the Brookwood team for involving our team with the plans. We're excited for the district's vision. They've shared their incredible project designs and timelines with us. And, we really appreciate that they invited us so that we can provide our own feedback and also how we can best serve the community. We're fully in support of the plans, and I just listening, to the teachers that have just gone before us. I just wanted to share how I applaud the district for thinking about your staff. Being a nonprofit organization and employing 130 teachers ourselves, I just want to say how lucky the district is, and for the staff to be having very thoughtful plans in place for retention and for housing for your teachers. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and yes, very excited for and support the vision of the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel, for your comments. Next, we have Chris White. Chris White.
I actually don't have a public comment. Thank you. You can move on. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. White. Next, I'll call Shakil Ali. Shakil Ali. Shakil Ali. We see a phone number. Okay, we'll go to the next speaker, Debbie Santiago. Debbie Santiago.
People should be able to hear you. Okay, go ahead, Debbie.
Hi, my name is Debbie
Nope.
Hi, my name is.
We can hear you.
Oh, she's calling somebody else. So are they going to be able to hear me?
Oh, you're just seeing that a little bit delayed. That person didn't speak. So yeah, everybody can hear you right now.
Hi, this is Debbie Santiago. I'm a Washoe member of Nevada, California tribe, and I'm a community member. Hi, this is Debbie Santiago. I'm a Washoe member of Nevada, California tribe. I'm also a community member. And I have been living there for quite a while now here in Daly City, but born in San Francisco. And we're one of the organizations here, and I'm representing the Rumatrish Ohlone and some of the other tribes here near Santa Cruz and the Rumsens Ohlone. And we are here to make sure that the green space there is being protected, and we're also looking at other areas. And yes, we've been having talks with the schools to see what we can do, but at the same time, I'm still looking at preserving what is still there within the garden. Not dismissing that there is a need for housing at this time, and it's wonderful all these teachers and former teachers are supporting this, but it would have been nice to hear other community members who are not teachers or former teachers at this time. So I look forward into continuing these talks with the school district here at Jefferson High School, and to also see what we can save and preserve at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, for your comments. We'll try to go back to Shaquille Ali. Mr. Ojapinti, to answer your question, yes. All of those that submit a form for public comment, they're automatically sent an email, and it does provide the Zoom link.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Shaquille Ali is the last individual that would like to speak on this particular item. I think there was someone with an email, the hair place. I don't know if that's him. Oh, okay.
Well,
President Tejada, would you like to move forward until Mr. Ali?
Yeah, we don't see, yeah, we've called his name out. Okay, so, all right, so I'll open it up to the board. Mr. Ojapinti, did you have your hand raised?
I do. Thank you. Yeah, if we can just maybe any other speakers who haven't been able to speak, they can jump on before we're done talking about the item. But I'll begin. So, I mean, first off, thank you for presenting today. We haven't seen a presentation like this at a regular board meeting yet. This project has been discussed outside of board meetings, and it's an important project, obviously. I've spoken to it in the past when it has arrived at the board meeting for a decision, which I feel any movement on this project should include the community at every point. And Mr. Fukuji did illustrate that we had website users.
Hey, Nick, I have Shaquille. Do you want him to go ahead and talk?
Please, yeah, actually.
All right, hold on. Do you want to do the same thing you just did? Hold on one second.
We'll get that timer up, please.
Hey, Shaquille, hold on one second.
Okay, you should be good.
Okay, thanks. Good evening. Thanks for allowing me.
Oh, it's not very loud.
Actually going out of the way to accommodate me and get me on the line. So, first of all, I want to say I 100% support your efforts to provide housing for teachers.
I can hear it.
Yeah.
And I commend that. I'm calling because I'm concerned about green space in the city, and I just want to urge the board to take seriously the economic impact report. And I'm in support of having a positive resolution with the folks who are custodians for the garden there. That's about it.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Ojapinti.
Yeah, just to kind of echo some of those comments as well. I've always been 100% in support of our faculty and staff housing project. As the only board member who's actually worked for this district, as a substitute teacher, I think I can uniquely speak to how low the pay is and has been, and not to fault the district itself. I was here I was volunteering before I worked for the district, and when I did, it was like for $110 a day. which is more than some other jobs in the district. But as a substitute teacher, it's really hard for me to make a living doing that for a while. And my work in South City Unified, they do pay a little bit higher, but they're still in the same situation that we are. We're a low-income district and low-income area in North County. So I totally hear all the comments from all of our public comment today. I welcome and appreciate that. Given that I also grew up in the area of Skyline Drive in that area of Westridge, and you know, we only have so many parks in Daly City. As a former employee of Park and Rec, I can tell you as a youth worker with teen services working with our high schools, we're paid nearly minimum wage, you know, to do whatever we can. So we actually come out of pocket, like all of our staff here in the district, out of love and out of care for our community. So just to preface my comments, one, I appreciate the presentation. I do think that what we saw today was a presentation with one plan. I would like the public to know that, you know, if there are any other plans or any other designs for this area, that those should also be presented and considered, not just one plan to say, hey, this is what, you know, what we've got and what do you think? I think community input means you provide the community with options and listen to the community. And so first and foremost, I think listening to all of our community members is really important. We had a community input session that was noted in the presentation between November 8th, which was, if we remember, the week of the election, with all the uncertainties around that election. The end of that was December 21st before our winter break. So considering all the business that a school district goes through and during COVID, I can't in good conscience believe that this process could have been fully executed, you know, completely inclusively with our community during a pandemic. So that's my first issue, you know, just in general. There's a lot of issues that have been tabled, I think, across school districts in San Francisco. We see with everything from school renaming to just returning to school. And so I think in prioritizing what we need to do in this district, we do need to look, you know, long-term. We absolutely do that. We should be doing that. But this project hasn't been able to get ahead of very limited input on it to this part, to this point in the project. I have several concerns about the layout of the plan, not because I'm just against housing. I'm for housing. I think we need more housing. That's been a stated fact. However, our community needs more affordable housing. One of the additional buildings being presented in this plan is also affordable housing. That's reassuring, including a space for Head Start is the education, right? So I feel like there are things that can be done and will be done should this project be approved. But I don't think we can decide all that tonight. To be honest, I could talk at length about it. I think we could have more than 5 or 10 public comments. Tonight we had some of those tonight, but we're a week and a half away from graduation and in-person graduations at that. And so I want to just remind our community that, one, if we're going to do something, we need to do it justice and we need to do it right. I did not hear many comments. I did hear a few with respect to green space. Let's remember that our district's land is unceded indigenous land, and it is now in the public trust of our school district to do something responsible with it. It has been leased out to businesses in the past. Serramonte Ridge and the medical building that also sit on the parcel are a product of that before any of us were on board. In addition, we do have Summit Shasta High School here at Delray, in addition to all the community services and community renting out space in our district office. And so everything from martial arts studios to educational and religious institutions, those things are important. And so finding a space for things in our community is really important. And this project in terms of housing is important, but let's be clear, these are private, full market rate developments that are going to be hard for anybody living in Daly City that's struggling with rent right now to ever live in. So actually 4 of the new 5 buildings projected are not affordable. And it's very unlikely that anybody else is going to be able to benefit, except for the ambiance, maybe, and of course, being part of a neighborhood, which I think in any part of Daly City, we can appreciate because we're a majority residential community. And so while I am for that, I cannot, sight unseen or without the community having seen all these plans, approve anything tonight. So I would ask that we actually postpone any decisions pending the ability of more of our community to have this kind of input, because I'm welcoming this. This is the first meeting where we've had any kind of presentation and public input at the same time. And I do want to acknowledge all the different perspectives on it and different ideas that we want to see be part of it. So I will ask my fellow trustees to postpone this, any decision or recommendation. I know that Vice President Lee did ask for an update tonight, and I appreciate that. But a recommendation is a bit getting ahead of ourselves, and I think a little bit exclusive of any further public comment.
Okay,
So,
well, so I'm gonna, so we've heard you. These are, this is, I opened it up to the board for comment, but this is an action item. So I'd like to hear from the other board members if you'd like to speak to this. I personally, I wholeheartedly.
I'm ready to speak. Yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Go ahead.
So I just want to say that, I thank you for all the comments, and I'm, glad that we were able to hear from Debbie. So again, to go back to the timeline that Ms. Van Rapport spoke to, I am a school board member. I am not a developer. Like, that's not the realm that I ever wanted to be in. And after doing it for a couple of years, after this is done, I'm never going to do it again, right? It's a lot. It's very hard. And the only reason why I'm doing this is because of the urgency of now when it comes to our district. We cannot survive the constant regeneration that we have to go through almost every year and still try to be the school district that our students and our community deserve. You can't do that if we lose a principal every school year. You can't do that if you lose vital educational staff in every facet of our JUHSD community every single year, people who hold up the district, because we don't have the money to have support staff like so many other school districts around us. You look at San Francisco, the level of support they have to just do basic things. We don't have that. So everybody that's employed in our district is doing at least 4 to 5 different jobs. So when we lose one person, it's like we lose a whole bunch of people, and it's hard to train a new person to come in to do that level of work. I want to call out when we lost a staff member at Oceana who was who's not just a teacher, but she was also in charge of their, I can't remember the name of the project, yeah, senior exhibition. And she was also doing this. Or when we lose, even a custodian or a lunch worker, like they're doing so many other things that when we lose that person after they've been here for a couple of years, it is a heavy hit. So that's why I was like, I'm going to take time that I don't have to join another committee. And let me talk about how many hours that Trustee Lee and I put in with Ms. Van Rapport and other members of the staff on this committee, which the board charged us to do. That is the responsibility of the committee, is to do the work, and that we are supposed to be a united board that trusts each other, that we all don't. That's why you have committees. Otherwise, we'd all have to be in every meeting all together all the time. That's not efficient. So we are all supposed to have a trusting relationship with each other. So when 2 of us go off to do the work and bring it back, we're supposed to bring back a singular recommendation. What is the point of having us go off and do the work and then bring back a plethora of ideas so that we hash it out here? Then we shouldn't have subcommittees. So we did the work that we were charged with after hearing for years our teachers say, this is unsustainable for us, for our staff to say, this is unsustainable. We can't work here. We love the district, but what you pay makes it unable for us to work here. So we as a board said we would do the workforce housing, we would pass the parcel tax, and that we would try to utilize our existing resource, which is our land. We all agreed to that. We all voted 5-0 to have the consultants that we have on staff and who are on the call today move forward with looking into that, looking into the possibilities. When Trustee Lee and I went into this work, we really were intentional with, we don't want to just build cement blocks. I'm also from this area. You know, all of my kids were born here. I still live here. I struggle to stay here. We were saying we want to build a community that we wish Daly City would follow that model and move forward with. So we were intentional about there must be green space, and we are doubling the amount of green space that's currently available. We were intentional with it needs to be open, it needs to be inviting to the community. We're not here to be gentrifiers and to change it so people who live here can't stay here. We have on top of the below the market rate houses that is going to be put in, we have almost 200 units of affordable housing that's going in. 200. I'm tired of this project being criticized. It is a model. I would challenge anybody to find any other development anywhere around here that's being developed that is not up to the standard that we put here today. It's incredible work that has been done. Incredible. And it's hard to constantly hear it be criticized, you know, and especially when this work was done by school board members and staff from a school district. It's unbelievable what we did, and we should all be so proud of the work that we put in, united as a united team. And if we can't do that as a united team, then I worry about us moving forward. That you can still have, I am very passionate about other items. I was very passionate about different types of affordable housing that I wanted to have in here, but it's district first. That is my role that I signed up as a school board member. But to that caveat, I am concerned about the impact that we're having on our Indigenous community. So we meet and continue to meet and have plans to keep meeting with members from that community to see what we can do to also be a model. I understand that there's ties to the garden and we're trying to work through that, but is there a way that we can do something that is sustainable, that could be in partnership with the district? I've learned so much from Debbie, from talking to her about the history of the land. I want that history to be taught outside of that. And is there a way that we can build something sustainable where we can use that as part of our ethnic studies, have the community part of it, have a space where they can have ceremonies, and still have the green space, and still bring in the revenue, and still be a benefit to the community with the retail shops, jobs, and still be a benefit to the community with daycare and parks and more housing, which will lower the cost of housing. Everybody says, there's every study that says one of the ways to lower housing is to decrease the need. We're hitting all of those different things. So I'm proud of this project. I stand in support of the work that we all did, and I'm excited to move forward. So kudos to all of us, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you. We do have one more public comment, Ms. Bell.
Thank you, President Tejada. At this time, I'll call Sean Carcasis. Mr. Carcasis?
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I would just like to say I love this project, and my hat is off to you guys. This looks amazing. I'd also like to add, bangering, Kalima. That was amazing. That was good stuff, okay? I really appreciate you guys and all the work you're putting in. Today, I just found out we lost 2 more teachers at our school. They're going on, and it makes sense, and I can't fault them for it. So I really appreciate the fact that everyone is really taking this serious, and it means the world that we have so much support on the board. So without further ado, I'm going to take off for the night. But thank you so much, guys. It means a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Carcasis.
Mr. Lee? Are you ready to? Oh. Okay.
There we go. All right. What Ms. Al-Houdin said was incredibly powerful and absolutely 100% truth. You know, when we first started with the faculty, when we first started talking about the faculty and staff housing project, I remember several staff telling me, you know, asking me specifically, you know, what's in it for those of us who aren't going to be living there? We have housing security. We won't be beneficiaries. And of course, you know, we were able to talk about all the soft things, right? The fact that, you know, you would have consistent colleagues, you wouldn't have to retrain staff, and those are all well and good, but you know, the staff living in the housing would get the benefit of the lower housing costs. This, what we're doing right now with the rest of this property, is the other piece of that puzzle. This is what we're doing for all. To think about what we are sitting in right now. Our subcommittee looked into what we could do with this building just to see, you know, what could we preserve? And basically not much, if anything. This would have been truly a money pit, like that old movie. And this is really the one thing we could do to make sure we have local revenues that we generate ourselves, and we would have in perpetuity an annuity income stream, which any business will tell you is so necessary to its success. And we're sitting on a gold mine for us and our staff. The hours we put in, I remember when we first had some of these discussions with Wood, where they were giving us some rough estimates in this very boardroom that were back to the envelope with what we could potentially do, looking at the different sites across the district. And ultimately we knew that with the work that was going to be done, that this was going to be the best bang for the buck, as we've talked about. That the land was available, this building is not usable. And to have further discussions with Brookwood, I specifically remember meeting with Mr. Fukuji when he said, you know, that no, we're doing something that school districts don't typically do, which, you know, it's kind of shocking when you think about it, but that's right. We are school board members first. We're not developers, but we have a fiduciary responsibility to the ongoing success of the school district. For us to have security in funding means we have security in staff, which means most importantly, we have security for the students that we serve. We do this because the students come first. We're not doing this because we feel like building housing. We're doing this because we know we can generate revenue that is going to benefit the students. And we benefit by the students by making sure we have well-paid staff to teach and care for our students, to have counselors who can take care of our students, to have food service employees who can feed our students, have bus drivers who can transport them all the way across the board. And I'm sorry if I missed anybody. This is why we do this. So yeah, we are going to do this for market rate rental housing because we need to maximize the revenue that we generate over the time period that this development will exist in the city of Daly City. I am so grateful for the opportunity to be able to serve this district in this capacity. And one last thing, with regards to the idea and concept of multiple plans, we can only submit one plan to the city of Daly City. And then they'll tell us, hey, you need to adjust this, or you need to adjust that. We'll deal with it as it comes. But we got to start with point A, which is tonight. Thanks for listening all.
And really quickly, Ms. Tejada, can I just say too that we understand that this isn't the end all be all. This is not going to get us to San Mateo, Unified. This is not going to get us to Sequoia. That to me greater solidifies the urgency on why we need to move forward with this faster than with expediency, because This is just one more thing, and then it's on to the next thing to try to increase the revenue. It's an ongoing walk. It's an ongoing path of utilizing every single thing and our fingertips in order to get our salary schedule up. So yeah, I understand this is not the answer to all our problems, but it's the beginning. And if I'm not going to turn away any opportunity, that's because that's where we are as a school district. We don't have the right as trustees to turn around any opportunity to raise our salary schedule.
So I'm going to say something now that I haven't really revealed very often, but so my daughter is graduating next year, 2022. And my plan was to not run for re-election. But I have to. I owe it to my colleagues, to this district. I have got to. I need to see this through. I need to see this through. You know, my dad, I love him so much. He voted for anything for education, and he signed off on a lot of our measures. He was one of the signers, and he was so proud to do that. He was so proud. We have a duty to this district. I have a duty to stay on. I have a duty to stay on and see this through. And when you use the word revitalization, that's a word, but it means more than just that. I also grew up here in Daly City. There's nothing like this. I never had anything like this. You know, I in my old neighborhood, I got kids who, you know, they're from the west side and they come over to my side where I grew up and they call it the hood. And, you know, I love it. I love where I live. I loved Daly City growing up here. But we got, I don't know, I mean, how are we going to raise any money if we don't have market rate? And it is a neighborhood. These are homes that we're building. It's revenue we so desperately need. And it is all about the kids. It is all about the kids. You know, I was in high school when they had that long teachers strike. And we would say hi to our teachers every day when we went to school. And I didn't really learn much. Here we are. We got to keep these teachers who are leaving because they can't live here. They cannot live here. They love it here, but they have to go. I am so tired of it. I am so tired of it. We've put in so much work. Thank you. Thank you to Ms. Salahuddin and Mr. Lee. You're the perfect people that we tasked. We asked to serve on this facilities subcommittee. And originally it was, I believe, Mr. Braxton Lethko was on it. And then he left. So it's a ton of work. You're the people to do it. I thank you for all your hard work on this with Ms. Van Raphorst and Brookwood. The vision you share you went in, you had the vision of this board and this district. And you know, I'm ready to vote. Hands down, this is a no-brainer to me. We have to move forward. Ms. Casey?
Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay, sorry. I couldn't hear the doubles. So I just wanted to say that I have been a part of the committees throughout the past couple of years. I've known what was happening. I've reported back to the union exec board, and they've reported back to the staff. So none of this is really surprising. People knew that this was happening and that this was coming, and that there was a ray of hope for us to, of course, everybody wants it to happen yesterday, but there's a ray of hope. When we talked about the faculty and staff housing, we knew it wasn't going to be for everybody. But one of the main things that's happening is the turnover of our staff is harming our students. It's trauma inducing. It's really harming them. And you should see the texts and emails I get during these meetings. I mean, I'm not, I talk like a sailor. I won't. I'll be good. But people are like, what the heck is going on? This, we don't have. We are the not haves. And this is a way that we can get a little something for our staff and for our students. Again, I've been a part of some of the meetings that have been the plans. Can we do this? What should we do with this building? So this is not a surprise to many of us. It's not a surprise to our staff. It's not like we haven't heard about this. It's not, I mean, we're in a pandemic. That doesn't mean we have to stop life and not move forward. We have to move forward. We can't just keep saying we're not going to do it because people aren't participating. They're not participating because they're not against it. They're for it. That's what I find happens. I mean, I have lots of meetings. I go to lots of meetings. When people don't show up, I say, hey, how come you didn't show up? Well, it's because you knew what you were doing and you were doing what I thought was okay. So I'm just really worried about us stopping this little chugging train that's gonna do something for us. And I think we had plenty of talking about it. We've had plenty of looking at different options, but again, we cannot bring all the options here. That's what we were tasked, the committee was tasked to do, was to figure out what the best options were. And I've talked to Ms. Van Rasphurst a lot about different options. And when we've looked at different options, the things that make the most sense for our district is what gets presented. So I think our staff understands that. So that's 500 plus people that have heard about this. So it's not like it's hardly anybody. Again, I'm getting lots of texts and it's like really difficult, but people want this to go forward. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Mr. Ochapinti?
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in this meeting. I'm sitting here thinking this is crazy. I'm the only person who's bringing up the concept of defending just the environment and environmental justice. That hasn't been spoken on by anybody here, just to note. Secondly, our consultants here, for all the work they put in, have not provided us with any concrete numbers to the public. Public has not been provided any concrete numbers in terms of what this will bring in terms of revenue. And I asked this at a prior meeting, which has not been posted to YouTube, but I do remember Ms. Van Rasphurst mentioning that the revenue from this project at earliest, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Van Rasphurst, feel free, won't come in earlier than 2023-24. So even with this LCAP, but current budget, in terms of what we're struggling with in terms of losing staff and faculty and just all around, just gentrification in terms of our community and affordable housing, the impact of this project won't even be felt for 3 years. So consider that if you're a teacher or a staff or a community member thinking this is a great project, you don't even know how much money it's going to make you. You don't know how much money it's going to make for our students. And consider too that our role It is not our job, it is not our duty as school board members to make decisions for everybody else. It's our job to make sure we represent our community and bring them to the table, because we're all part of this decision-making process. We're all part of this discussion. I have been fighting from the very beginning. I'm the only trustee, I should know at this point, who's been fighting for community input on this project of this scale and magnitude. Definitely requires more than 10 people at a Zoom meeting during the winter. Yes, during a pandemic, when we have more important things on our minds. There are a lot of things, a lot of questions I have around this. Firstly, too, I want to say this, as the only trustee bringing up these issues, I'm not attacking a privatization of public land. I'm the only one defending our public land in terms of how we approach it in terms of responsible, smart growth in urban planning. And I'll note that I'm not the only one to bring up these issues in the community. We talk about these things all the time in San Francisco. We talk about them all the time in Oakland. One of the reasons when we went on strike a couple of years ago was to call out these reasons, because a lot of schools were taking up public school land, and land was being reallocated to other uses, not specifically for the entire benefit of the district community. This is a huge controversial issue and resulted in the turnover of the board in Oakland as well this fall. So I would just note to everybody listening to this, I'm not criticizing housing development. I'm providing insight and asking questions that we should all be asking. Like, one, how much does the project cost on our bond money? Two, we can't even guarantee this money is going straight to salary, because legally that's not what it was voted for. What was voted for was that we have bond money, and the scope of this project.
No bond money is being used for this. There's no bond money being used for this.
Listen. In terms of our faculty and staff.
You know what? Do you want answers?
No, hold on. Excuse me. No, please don't interrupt me before I'm done, though. I would appreciate.
My God, it's so much misinformation here.
No, listen. Our faculty and staff housing project is a bond-funded project. Yes, that's a fact. And that project, which many people on our call tonight were praising, I also support and have 100% from the very beginning. The rest of this project, in terms of developing it and the developer money that's going to go into it, and developing that, this is money that is not guaranteed at any rate, because we don't even have those numbers yet in the public. And we could ask right now, we could ask Brookwood as a consultant to the developers, what kind of money they think would bring us in the money that people are expecting. But what I'm saying is this, we don't even have that information. So how can the public make an informed decision if they don't have information to begin with? How can I, as a public official, make a decision if I've only heard some of this information in the last few days? And the information I have received has only told me two things. One, that if there is a way forward for this project inclusively, I think it can be done, but it should be done the right way. And that means including all public input in the process. I mean, to claim that I'm putting out misinformation is really, really insulting too, because I've been the one with the least information on this project from the get-go, as has President Tejada or Trustee Garrett, because we're not on the facility subcommittee. I should also say that beyond that.
My God,
why would you put God's name out there, Rosie? Do you have something to say that?
Go ahead, Mr. Ochapente, continue.
Yeah, please. You're the president of the board. I would expect some civility. I'm just addressing a lot of the misinformation that's been put out here so far. I want to ask this first question to Brookwood. Can you please explain to the board and to the community here how much money you expect ballpark to bring into our district and what kind of significant impact you expect that to make in the salaries of our, please, I would like Brookwood to answer this question.
But you know they can't. You know they can't.
Please allow them the opportunity to respond to my question.
No, because we're
no. The
answer is no.
Why are you speaking for our consultants? We're paying them.
Because Nick,
please let them speak.
Okay, you asked me not to interrupt you. Now I'm asking you not to interrupt me. You know why we have asked them not to disclose numbers. We have said before to you and explained this to you multiple times, that it takes away our bargaining power if we go out with projected numbers. Then anybody that we're trying to negotiate with, that they know what our ceiling is. So we don't want to go out there and take away our bargaining power. That is why that has been explained to you multiple times. I also, Trustee Abuzaria has had his hand up. Are you okay allowing our student trustee to speak on this?
I'm always okay with student trustee speaking,
Okay,
but
let's
I
kick
want
it
to
on
respond to you
over to
first.
him.
No, let's not kick it on over to anybody yet, because I asked Brooke a question. So please, Trustee Salahuddin, please respect the process.
They're
I'm
not going to
asking-
answer it.
You can't speak for them because you don't work for them. They work for us. Trustee Salahuddin, they work
Right,
for
and
our
that's why
district.
they're not going to
Please
answer
let
it
them
because
answer.
they work for us.
I'm asking. They work for us. I am one of us, one of 5 trustees. Please
Okay,
respect
the
process.
other, the majority of the board, can we all, like, I
Can
would
we
ask-
all agree that Brookwood cannot answer your question?
You can't vote to silence them. What are you doing? Like, let them
Oh my
speak.
God, do you not understand? You're almost in
representatives.
violation of the Brown Act here.
You
No,
are
I'm
a little
not.
bit.
No,
You are,
I'm not.
because
But
this.
Who's violating the Brown Act? This is a
because
sunshine
this
law.
is
Brown Act is a sunshine
this
law.
was a
You're not
closed
allowing me to
session
speak.
item. You're
This-
speaking
I'm
on an item
asking
that
a
was in
question.
closed session.
I'm asking him a question in public session that you can choose to answer or clarify as you did. You answered
Okay,
the question.
all right. So
Anybody's
okay,
in
so
violation
go.
of the Brown Act. It might be you, but I'm asking them. Please let them respond.
No.
Please let them answer in their capacity. This is just board business. What
Okay.
are you doing? Yeah, this is a board meeting.
I understand. What I'm saying is that we are instructing them.
Yes.
That they
am
cannot
asking.
answer.
We
Because,
as
and
four of-
okay, so
They work
again,
for us.
Nick. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
Does Mr. Katz want to answer?
We can't hear you.
Oh. Do you
I
want?
can't hear you.
There it goes. So he just needs to
No,
unmute
that
his
was
phone.
Nick.
Mr. Katz, we cannot hear you.
There, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry. Yes, it's not within the purview of Brookwood to answer your question, given the subject matter.
So are we okay taking it over to
There.
Trustee Abuzariano?
I have further comments, but yes, please. I want to hear from our student
Okay.
trustee. It's getting late.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, I believe Ms. Casey mentioned that stability within a school is important. And I just want to echo that sentiment because I know that not only does it affect students, but affects the relationship between teachers and other staff and administration. I know for Westmore, we're losing our principal this year. And prior to that, our previous principal was only there for 2 years. Like, for example, I have a sibling who graduated, and within her 4 years at Westmore, she had 3 different principals. The first one, I believe, was there for 7 years, but like she was a freshman, and then her sophomore and junior, she had a principal, and then her senior year, she had a different principal. And I think the staff housing, even though, yes, it won't bring revenue until the future, with all due respect, Trustee Ochapinti, I think worrying about whether or not something in the future will or won't happen is kind of pointless because once you get there, you'll find out. If you're worried about tomorrow so much, you're going to forget about today. And then also, I understand the concerns about environmental impact. You know, the environment, it's an ongoing issue. But from what I understand, there's not, in terms of the land that's being, where the construction is happening, there's already buildings there, if I'm not mistaken, maybe for the staff housing, but it's cement already. So, I mean, again, in terms of like logistical stuff, I don't know that much. But again, I think if this helps with stability in our district in some way or another, because honestly, we're probably always going to be behind other school districts. You know, San Mateo is just a wealthier area than Daly City. But I think if we have something to remedy that, it's incredibly important to the community because if things are constantly changing in a time where things are already changing, it's just not going to work out well for our schools. And we'll just have a lot more issues. And then, like, will students even want to go to our schools if teachers are constantly leaving? I think the staff housing is one way to alleviate that. Of course, you know, no one solution is perfect. But like I think we have to look at it from a perspective of, do the pros outweigh the cons? Like, what are the, and then I know, like, you know, the indigenous community, the impact it can have. I understand that, you know, we are on a lonely land. I think there are ways to work with the indigenous community and show that we respect them. I think a lot of the issues brought up, they can be resolved, frankly, quite easily. And again, like I said, logistically, I don't know that much. So if I'm saying anything that is wrong, anyone who's more knowledgeable, feel free to correct me, but I think we could be a little more civil in our disagreement personally. And Trustee Green had to call us out at another meeting. I don't want to, you know, keep having this issue, but that's my opinion. So thank you.
I would never correct you. You're very wise. Mr. Ojapinti, and then I want to call for a vote.
In case anybody else wants to raise their hand while I'm talking, just leave that open. But yes, I'll speak first. Thank you, Trustee Busaria. No, I mean, don't worry about logistically. Those questions are mine too, right? This is one of the reasons why I've been asking for information throughout the process, right? This is the first meeting, thanks to Vice President Lee for putting on the agenda for an update. I was not planning for a vote on this meeting. For the record, that was not what was asked for to begin with. So in terms of urgency in the process, as the sole educator and teacher on this board, I would just stress that I am completely in agreement with, we need to get ahead of these issues now, but the way we approach it and understanding the way our budget works, because the majority of our funding comes through the state, and looking at the recovery through the state and through federal funding, where the First Lady is herself also an educator, a teacher. I do have faith that our district will benefit the way most districts in our position. We're not the only low-income district in this state, in this country. And so we have a lot of the same problems, and we need to address them in creative ways. While I welcome that, I like to see it in writing, because what we've seen today is not, to me, in my mind, the first and last, you know, starting point or end point. It shouldn't have to be. We're talking about, and Trustee Saludin spoke to this at length, you know, working with the indigenous community. As somebody who mixed race, Latino and indigenous culture, like, I understand these issues and I identify with a lot of the concepts and the ideas and just the values in our community that value our environment. When we're talking about climate change, we should be listening to the indigenous community. We should be listening to people who are fighting to make sure we have a more sustainable planet and community. And so if we're looking at the profit we can make without any conversation of the planet, putting profit over planet in that sense, we have to realize that the profit margin is going to be decreased. That's a fact that our whole world is dealing with right now. And it's something that we're going to have to deal with, even if we want to make some money off this land, which is very likely. Also, to speak to, like, you know, people's commitment on this board, this is going to go through. Obviously, it's going to be 4-1 vote. If you don't want to listen to anything that I'm saying, or even include these things in the plans, as presented tonight, none of the proposals that I've heard from our indigenous community, from our community at large, that I've heard, who have concerns about affordable housing and housing in general and community benefits, none of those things can be discussed until we get to a later stage in the project. But none of that's completely factored into the current proposal, and it doesn't have to be proposed, it doesn't have to be approved tonight, May 18th. We could take the summer. We could take 3 to 6 months to get this done, and it could be a win-win for everybody. The fact that everybody's rushing right now does raise questions, and those questions to me, you know, make me want to ask, where is all this promise in writing? Because there's a lot that we saw in the presentation, but it did not include what Trustee Saludin was speaking to. It did not include what some of our community members were speaking to. My concerns around green space they stand in solidarity with that. And so in terms of with solidarity with our teachers and staff in our community, of course, I'm with you 100%. We need something to boost our salaries. We need something to retain people. Turnover is ridiculous. Now, I've lived here my entire life, and as somebody who's worked hard to be an educator in this community and sustain my own family and community here, I completely understand. And I understand as much as anybody else here. So you know that you have an advocate in me, but I'm gonna raise the questions that I would hope everybody else starts to think about as we move through this process, because it's very likely that once we take this vote, it will move forward. I can't in good conscience approve any contracts I haven't seen or any process without the community's involvement. So I cannot vote for something that I haven't seen full input on yet. As much input as we have heard, this is really just the beginning of the process. And I don't think we should be stepping forward based on the city of Daly City's timeline or anybody else's until we as a district know what we want and we need. And so I'm here for that 100%. And I want to see this project through in terms of whatever it becomes, but I want to see it make sure that it benefits our community as a whole and inclusively. And that begins with all of our voices. So I'll stop on that note, and I will leave it to President Tejada to pick up any other comments as we move
So can I just say too
go right
that
ahead.
you are not the only person committed to the environment. So that's not true. We are all committed to the environment. We've gone into this with the commitment to increasing the green space, which we have done. We have also all gone into this with the commitment to the community. Pre-COVID, when we had the community meeting for the workforce housing, one person showed up, one. And you did not have the outrage at that you have here. One person showed up for our community meeting pre-COVID for workforce housing. So more people showed up. We did a better job getting more people involved in this process. Everybody in Daly City has been mailed our plan. Every single resident of Daly City has been mailed a copy of our plan by the city. It has also been posted on Nextdoor. It is also on the city's website. So unless we skywrite it, I mean, I don't know what else we can do to get the word out to more people in the community. And, we have been open in this process to getting feedback. That is how we got the head start. That is why the current configuration looks like what it does. That is why we're leaning into certain things, because we're taking feedback, and we will continue to be open and take feedback. I make that commitment to continue to be open and take feedback. I'm committed to working hand in hand with our Indigenous community to see what we can do to have the best, like everybody come out with the benefit. This is not just about money. This is about building a community where we all can have a win-win-win-win-win across the board. And again, the biggest affordable housing development was just approved today, and the county invested money into it. It is 400 affordable housing units. We are building 200. Like, again, I don't understand how, like, what else could we possibly do? The biggest ever in the county, and we're doing half of that as a school district. So, we're doubling the green space, 200 units of affordable housing, working with our Indigenous community, providing community benefits that we've heard from, continued community outreach. So, because I've been out pounding the pavement, knocking on doors, talking to community members about this, and I'm going to continue to do that because you challenged me to do that, Nick, and so I've done it. I'm not ending it. So all these things that are being leveled at us that we're not doing, like, again, I'm saying we are handling those things. We are moving forward with those things. And so with that, I move to that we approve the plan.
I proudly second this motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No.
All
No.
opposed?
All right. So I would just want to ask, and we could talk about this in governance, that as a board, we have moved forward with the plan. So when it goes in before the city, that to not publicly oppose the plan if you're going to go be sure that you're clear about you're speaking as a citizen and not as a member of the school board, because the board has just approved. And we could talk about this more in governance, and because that's a governance issue, and we have a governance work study coming
To
up.
respond to that, I'll be responding in my capacity as a citizen and as a board member because I'm elected to do so. But it should be noted that the board voted for it 4-1, or in my end of it, 1-4. That should be stated clearly as well. So I'm not going to lie to the public. I'm not going to mislead them. I'm gonna provide them with all the information that I've got. That's what I've been doing thus far. And everything that you said, I would ask you to commit to putting all of that in writing. Because
We
not all
always
of that
do.
was in writing. What you said was not completely in writing in this proposal tonight. It was not. It was not. That's a fact. But I will take you at your word for your commitment to the community, and I will take the rest of the board at their commitment to the things that we have not put in writing that people are suggesting and being open to the community. Because
We can only put in writing, Nick, the things that we're not going to put anything in writing that's going to hurt us in the negotiation process. So
we should not be misleading people into what we are doing or not doing if it's not going to be on paper. That's a fact.
we're not I don't think I hear that feedback.
Okay.
I don't think
I'm
we're
just saying.
doing anything to mislead anybody. Okay.
Needs to be in writing. Thank you.
Okay.
And just to clarify, we're not using any bond. This is not anything to do with, like, bonds were brought up. It has nothing to do with bonds. The bonds is only being used for workforce housing. This is all we're looking for. This is all about taking money in, right? So this is nothing to do with bonds, just to clarify that.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying. Although I already knew that, so. Okay, so 15B1, educational housing, additional scope of work for Brookwood advisors.
All right, before the board tonight is a proposal to add a scope of work to the contract that was previously approved with Brookwood Group. The scope of work would provide support in guiding the work of the Educational Housing Corporation. One of the associates from Brookwood, Jim Mueller, would lead this effort for Brookwood. I got a chance to meet with him along with two members. Oh my God.
We're sorry, Tina.
I'm sorry too. I don't know. It was working and it just, it's probably just broken. Okay. All right. So, I'm not sure. No. Just like this. Can you hear me now? Okay. All right. So before the board tonight is a proposal to add a scope of work to the contract with Brookwood. This scope of work would provide support in guiding the Educational Housing Corporation. Jim Mueller is an associate with Brookwood, and he would lead this effort. I got a chance to meet with him along with two members of our Educational Housing Corporation board, Mike O'Neill and John Niblin, and I met with Jim, and we are very excited to bring this forward to the board. Jim has extensive experience with opening housing developments, and we wholeheartedly recommend that this scope of work be added. And by the way, Jim is here tonight with the other members of the Brookwood team in case the board had any questions for him.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, can we have a motion?
Move to approve item 15B1, the educational housing additional scope of work for Brookwood.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any So let's go up to item 15A1, extension of current MOUs and side letters agreement. Ms. Basuino. Her audio is having
about now?
problems. Okay.
Is it working? Yeah. Woohoo!
Okay.
All righty. It is recommended the board approve the extension of current MOUs and side letter agreement between Jefferson Union High School District and the American Federation of Teachers, Local 1481, to allow all current MOUs and side letters to remain in effect until next full negotiations of 2021-2024. This extension provides continuity and predictability for staff.
All right, we have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 15A2, Jefferson High School 4x4 bell schedule, 2021-2022 MOU.
Good evening. It is recommended the board approve the Jefferson High School 4x4 bell schedule 2021-2022 MOU between the Jefferson Union High School District and the American Federation of Teachers Local 1481 in compliance with board policy 6112 using Title I funding. Jefferson High School shall make structural changes beginning fall 2021 to serve students better through the implementation of a 4x4 bell schedule. A 4x4 bell schedule is a block schedule that shall allow students to attend 4 class periods per day for each semester, totaling 8 classes per year. At the conclusion of each semester, students shall earn the equivalent of 10 credits per class.
We have a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 15A3, pupil attendance, school start time 8:30 a.m. side letter.
Good evening again. It is recommended that the board approve the pupil attendance school start time 8:30 a.m. side letter between the Jefferson Union High School District and the American Federation of Teachers Local 1481 to proactively respond to Senate Bill 328. According to SB 328, pupil attendance school start time requires the school day for middle schools and high schools, including those operated as charter schools, to begin no earlier than 8 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. respectively by July 1st, 2022. As such, beginning school year 21-22, day certificated union members shall be on campus by 8:20 a.m. and shall remain at school until the end of the last teaching period.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
15A4, classified COVID-19 pay MOU.
All righty. Last but not least, it is recommended that the board approve the classified COVID-19 vacation pay MOU in recognition that some classified employees may have had difficulty utilizing allocated vacation time during COVID-19 pandemic for the 2020-2021 school year only. Classified employees that are represented by AFT 1481 shall be paid for unused vacation days beyond a 2-year vacation accrual as of July 31st, 2021. Vacation payout shall be paid with COVID relief funds.
You have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now on to 15C1, expanded learning opportunity grant, Ms. Baca.
Hello, everyone. I know you've been waiting for this plan.
Don't sound so excited.
Yay. Okay, so before you is the expanded learning opportunity grant. And this grant is a one-time COVID relief fund from the state of California, specifically to support the supplemental instruction and social and emotional well-being of students and staff. So JUHSD is eligible to receive $2,972,801, and the funds must be expended by August 31st, 2022. So the plan was developed based on observations and feedback from the needs of the students and staff from the results of COVID-19. We gathered feedback from the principals and their leadership teams that include classified and certificated staff. And also we asked for the input of our return to school committee. So I'm gonna share the summary that I had created for this specific plan, and I'm just gonna highlight a couple of things. So the funds must be expended in these buckets. So the first one is additional academic services. So this is basically about our technology and support for our technology. And also the universal screener for English language arts and math. Then for extending instructional learning time, there's $200 set aside for courses that can be offered before school, after school, or Saturday school. And I would like to point out that a lot of these funds are going to be set aside for each of the schools because each one of them has a specific needs and they're all unique. So there will be funds set aside for each of the school site based on all of this allocation. For integrated pupil supports, I just want to highlight that we are spending a lot of money on social emotional learning for the following year. So a chunk of this money will be spent on that. And it was highly suggested that during the first week of school, when we come back, we really focus on social emotional learning. I also would like to point out this partnership with Daly City Youth Health Center, where our plan is to find our no-shows for the following year, students that we cannot find or do not show up to school. So our plan is to send some staff and knock on people's doors and ask them and see where they are and ask them to come back to school. And the other thing is for training for staff. And again, a lot of this will be based on social emotional learning. And that's what has been asked by many of our staff members. And then the other bucket is accelerating progress to close learning gaps. So these are our technology software and supplies and materials for enrichment and tutoring. And one of the requirements for this grant is a 10% set aside for paraprofessional salaries. So that will be spent on that. And then support for our credit deficient pupils is right there. And also our mobile devices and hotspots and extending library hours that is also asked by many staff members. So with that, I recommend that the grant and the plan is approved.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Second.
There was a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you, Corinne,
you.
for all the work on this. Like, this was my favorite part of the packet. I just was like, look at all the comments and everything. Like, it was fantastic. Yes, yes. So this is like an example of the one time we're not funded by the state, just to correct that. This is an example of one-time funding that we get from the state, but our money comes from community funding. So the state funding is going away. There's been a commitment. Gavin Newsom has said this repeatedly. There's no new money coming to K-12. It's all going to early education and to higher education. There is no new money coming to K-12, only the one time. So this is an example of one-time money.
Thank you, Ms. Baca. Awesome. Okay, item 16, consideration of future agenda items. None.
Can I just make a comment real quick?
Yes.
You know, I haven't said much. There's been a lot that has been said tonight. So, you know, I don't want to prolong this meeting, but I just want to add in that I appreciate all the work that everyone has done. I personally feel like I have been fully informed about what's going on, and I absolutely do trust the rest of our board to make those decisions, to work with the experts, to do what's best for our district so that we can make money for a teacher so they can stay. You know, we don't know what the projected number is in the future that we're going to bring in for this project, but any money that we're going to bring in is more than what we have now. So, I mean, and just the thought of that there's going to be retail there and you're going to bring in more businesses and they're going to be, you know, able to provide services to our community and pay taxes and have more revenue. I mean, it's just really, you know, a win for everyone here. So, you know, I just want to add that real quick. I don't want to do the back and forth. You know, I definitely respect everyone's opinions and their concerns. You know, for the community and that we're being transparent. You know, I do feel that everyone has been as transparent as they could be during this whole process. And personally, I have seen that. So again, I do want to just extend my appreciation for everything that Mr. Lee, Ms. Saladin, you know, Ms. Van Rappors, you know, as well as other admins and Brookwood for putting this work together to really get us where we need to be, at least as close as we can, so that we can keep the teachers here, right? Because, you know, my children will eventually be going to high school here, and I want to know that, you know, my time here to get to know and build the relationships with the teacher, they will be here, you know, in the future when my kids are going to be going to school, and hopefully that these awesome teachers are going to be teaching them as well, you know, when they get to their grade level. So anyway, so I just want to say that. Thank you. And I don't have any future items to put on the agenda. So thank you very much.
Consider a Tina Van Rapport
all.
day.
I appreciate you all of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
No worries.
Nice to hear your voice on your birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yes. Going out with a bang.
All right. Okay. And we have a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
And
All in
staff.
favor.
Sorry.
Bye.
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 We'll see you
Peace
on
out,
Friday.
people. Have a wonderful